Hi everybody, welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast and the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. I'm going to get it in there first of all. We are sponsored by GEORDIE Gifts. So tonight you don't see it underneath because Adam's rang in sick. So Adam, just like the Newcastle United squad, pulled a sickie. He's not turning up, so we're left to do it by ourselves. So lads, how are you all doing? He is recovered off Friday night.
I was just I only had 6 beers on Friday and I felt knackered the day after.
Oh, it was rough. I'm not going to lie, I was rough the next day.
I was drinking brown ale. I think I had about 6 or 7 bottles, I think. And I felt all right. I definitely wasn't drunk. Definitely not. And then, God, in the morning, my head was just banging, like mad. And I was painting all day as well. You know, like the fumes of the painting, and I was like, oh, this is horrendous. But, yeah.
Well, what people won't realise is that after the stream, we stayed up for another hour and a half, 2 hours, just drinking, just us. Luke Edwards joined with for a little bit. Taylor joined with for a little bit. Anybody else, or was it those it? That was it, wasn't it? I can't even remember.
just a bit of frivolity.
Matty was on. Matty was on the live stream.
Before
Matty was on the live stream. So just before we get started, tonight it is a live question answer. So of course, as always, send your questions across, and obviously we'll read them out. We'll have started a membership program over the last 24 hours. So those members who have signed up will be able to see your comments a lot easier. They'll be more prominent on the screen, so you've got more chance of getting your comments read out. So
we can also see who has actually joined with the membership because of the little sticker at the end of the name.
We'll have, and I can see that everybody's trying to use the Bruce emoji at the minute, mate, which clearly doesn't work.
Brucey. So we can also see who hasn't joined the membership. Can't we, Marty? I mean, lads. So we'll let him off with us.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a question answer. We'll just start off really looking back at that result on Friday night. It was basically smash and grab. That's all we can really put it down to. There's a couple of players who had decent games. Joelinton being one of them, and Wilson being another one. Joelinton, and we're going to start with a difficult subject. He's still getting pelters. So he has a decent game. For some reason, people can't give him that credit that he deserves. I'm not talking about his time since he started at the club and since he signed for the club. I'm talking about Friday night. For some reason, fans still can't do it. They can't say, well done, mate. And what do we do to solve that, Mark? Like, how can that ever stop? Is it just scoring more goals?
That is literally, the thing that people have hanging over his head is the amount of goals that he scores. There's the fact that he's got that £40 million transfer fee hanging around his neck as well. But it's almost quite sad that it gets to the point where he can do everything that he can possibly do on that pitch and put in a good a shift as he possibly can. Yet he just still won't get any recognition for doing it, despite what's actually happening there. People won't judge him game by game or give him the benefit of the doubt that when he does have a decent performance, that they can't just hold their hands up and say, yeah, he did all right. They'll just go, yeah, but he should be. He hasn't done it, etc., etc. There's always a reason as to why they can't just say, well done, you played pretty well.
Yeah. You, Deka, anything to add to that one, mate?
To be honest, I think Mark's hit the nail on the head. I think everything he said is spot on. It is so frustrating, though, isn't it, when, someone does play well, but, he might not score and they just hang him straight away. It's like, oh, well, it wasn't good enough. He didn't score. What do you expect? It's 40 million. It doesn't, that one decent performance doesn't mean that the other 40 or 50 have been, them have still been shit. Nobody's saying that. We're just saying on that 90 minutes of football, he really tried. He never gave up. Everything that was positive about that performance, he was involved in. And there wasn't, I'm not saying there was that much positive, but everything that was decent within that game, he was involved in throughout. And it's unbelievable for me that you kind of give the lad any credit. It's unreal.
Yeah, I think looking back over the stats on it, Besty, I think it was 2 shots on target, 1 goal, 1 assist, which is decent for somebody that can't play football.
It's not bad at all, is it? I mean, people keep on bringing up the price tag, people have said for time and time again, that's not his fault. All he can do is go and play football. They've tried to play him on the wing at times this season and last season that it didn't work. He doesn't look like a winger. But I thought he played very well on Friday night. It was a couple of he doesn't seem to be too confident with his finishing. I think you see him kind of when he has a shot and it doesn't look as though he's really got the conviction. But I don't want that to say that and make it sound as if I'm having a go, because I thought he was man of the match on Friday night. The work he did for Wilson's goal in particular was fantastic. That was a
great.
really good bit,
wasn't it? Really,
it was.
Great.
He looked so much more like I'd like a footballer playing up there with Wilson. It looks like they're starting to complement each other a bit. And you look at strike partnerships, which I'd like to think we can call them, and they don't happen overnight. They take a little bit of work. So if they stick with two up front, and if Joelinton's one of those two, I think we'll see him continue to improve. He's not going to get you 30 goals a season. I'd be surprised if he got 30 goals a season. But he's
when was the last time somebody got with 30 goals a season, mate?
I think probably must have been Shearer. Was it Ferdinand? Andy Cole, maybe.
Within reason, that's a bit of a thing with the league, right? There's not many people, I think, these days get that amount of goals.
Yeah, that's changed. Like all right, I'll say 20. But he's not the kind of bloke who looks like he's going to get 20 goals a season. But
he got 2 last season.
Well, yeah, it's over 10 seasons. He might just about scrape that. But no, it baffles me when people kind of don't seem to want him to do well, and that's the most kind of.
I was saying something similar to. I'll stay with you, Besty, because I think me, Mark, and Deka will be in agreement on this one. Is it similar to Mitrovic? Is it because we saw Mitrovic have good games, and he used to get some praise from a section of fans, but the rest of them wouldn't dare praise him.
Is he similar? I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know if it's. I was going to say, is it a striker thing? But we've seen James Perch get it, Mike Williamson get it, Paul Dummett latterly. Maybe there is a similarity. I can't say the word.
Oh, mate. Similarity.
It's because you've mentioned Mitrovic there, and my brain's just gone like, you were shy. The similarity there may be so. Yeah, I think Joelinton's probably played about as many games as Mitrovic did now, has he? I can't be far off it.
Not sure, mate. Can I hear a word you're saying? You sound like a helicopter. Can anybody else hear what Besty's saying?
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, I can, no bad.
Oh, but maybe it's me that's broke.
Yeah, I think he must be thereabouts the same amount of appearances and performances as Mitrovic. So, but I just don't think Mitrovic got half the amount of crap that Joelinton does. I'm not
sure,
always.
I don't think he did like that.
Nah, there was a minority, I think, that had it in for Mitrovic, whereas it's the opposite way around. There's a minority that want Joe to do well or support him, where the majority seem to be on his case. And it reminds us of something that Deka often says, like primarily when he's talking about Saint Maximum, that if he was a player, like talking about Joe, that was scoring 15, 20 goals a season, then he wouldn't be at Newcastle, regardless of that price tag of paying £40 million for him. If you can, realistically score that amount of goals at a top level like that, you're going to be at a bigger club than us. No bones about it. So it is what it is. We've got him. Yes, we paid a hell of a lot of money for him, but we paid that money because the scouts, the coaching staff, whoever it was, saw something in him. I see something in him as a player. He doesn't get played to his strengths. We've seen that with Pop myself. We've seen that. And
That's not just me then, is it?
No. You've went all Daryl on with Mark. You've went all Daryl on with.
This is my favourite part of the live streams. What's happening to him?
Yeah, he's in big trouble.
Look at his face.
I just want to mention one thing. I did think Mitrovic was getting goals earlier on when he came. Does that make sense? When he first came, he was grabbing some goals. And I think, Man City away, he scored a good goal against Norwich. Only a few there, but he was getting a couple of goals, which was obviously helping him a lot. It does, similar, reminds us of Joselu a lot, though, when we had Joselu. And no matter what Joselu did, it was shit. And I mean, sometimes he did actually play all right. I'm not saying he was a good player. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But there was times when in a game he would do okay, but fans just would not have it. He just wouldn't have it. He's a pile of shit and get over it. And I've seen a few on Twitter actually after Friday's game saying Joelinton did play well, but he's still shite. I'm like, well, what chance he got?
It's like the credit that he gets is qualified, isn't it? Like there's got to be that little caveat to say, but he's still terrible.
Exactly.
He was brilliant. I mean, it wasn't a 10 out of 10 game on Friday, but it's not like that saying, he played really well today, but he's shit really. That was a one-off. He was just looking. Which I mean, you could argue is what gets levelled at Bruce sometimes when kind of we do well with the guy. People say, but we're waiting for it to go shite again.
It's a good comment, that Besty. That's a good comment because I've said that a few times where I'll give Bruce credit if I have to give him credit, but I agree. Normally, people will go, "Well, he got it right today, but it was shit the last 3 weeks," and it's like, "Oh God, we're not."
I admit that's how I think as well. I always think that as well about myself when I say it. I think, "Oh God." I was listening to the True Faith podcast earlier on today, and Luke Edwards, who amazingly didn't have any connection issues this time.
Is Luke going behind my back now? Is he?
It seems like he is. Like
he is. Well, I'll have a word with him.
It's well worth bringing that up with him, Kris, because I wasn't happy when I heard it.
He's on the phone now.
It's Luke.
Oh no, it's me phone telling me that I've lost in a fantasy NFL game. But I listened to Luke kind of put the point across. He said, that he's got it's not as petty as I'm going to make it sound, but he said he's got like a mental list of Newcastle fans that will kind of just grief Bruce and grief him. And he said he looked through at full time on Friday. He spent about 20 minutes just looking through these accounts to see who was saying, good performance, or well done, Steve, or well done. And he said, 8 out of 10 just didn't bother tweeting at all. And 4 of them were probably us, to be honest with you. So there's that. We were busy.
To be fair, though, mate, we go right back. I know at the start of it, we're all said, we're all in agreement. Yes, we don't want Bruce to be manager. We don't want to be anywhere near the club. But like every single manager that comes into the club, you give him a chance. We did. Then I think the Norwich game came, which was that second, third game of the season? Was early on, wasn't it?
Second, the 3-0.
Yeah. So I think after that game, we literally said, sack him now. Get rid of him, bin him, sack him. Then obviously it changed slightly. Obviously we started picking points up and things like that. We had the hammer into Leicester, I think it was as well.
That was a bad one.
It was. I don't want to say high and low, but it was low points and quite steady points, probably a little bit above average with Bruce. So we kept on going, right? The points are getting on the board. We're in a similar position to what we were last year in regards to point-wise and table position-wise. So we thought, right, we'll give them the time of day. Go for it this season, and it looks like we've gone back over this season. And I think as a channel, like I said, we've always given a chance. But I think now, despite the win on Friday night, it still wasn't pretty to watch, was it?
Well, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But to try to think what you said there, so I can go back a little bit. The reason why I give Bruce there he is, lad. Oh, Mark, lad. The reason why, well, Kris, me and you very nearly did a video saying, "Is it time to praise Bruce?" I'm sure we'll message each other saying, "Do you want to do a video about Bruce?" This is over a time.
Supposed to say a secret.
Well, no, but I'll explain why, though. I'll explain why, and I'll explain why I'm not happy now. Is because it's so easy to say, "Oh well, you were happy before, so why aren't you still happy now?" But what the point I'm trying to make is that when he came in, right, I think we were all in agreement that the club was at an all-time low. Obviously, Rafa had left. There was just hell on. Pre-season was non-existent. There was people already had the knives out for Joelinton because some people believed that Rafa didn't want him, hence why Rafa then ended up leaving because that wasn't really his player, etc., etc. And we're finished in a really respectable league position under very, very difficult circumstances. And I believe, yes, he deserves credit for that because I expected to finish bottom with no points. That's the truth. I did.
Yeah.
But then you look at this summer and we've spent, is it 100 million or close to that? We've spent a lot of money. And I think we're all in agreement that the squad, or certainly the first maybe 11 to 14 players, are arguably the best we've had in a long time, or certainly a decent period, and the performances are getting worse, and that's when I get annoyed because I'm like, hold on.
On the back of that comment, Deka, you mentioned that the players in the squad that we have, and being the players that are there, should be quite attacking minded, going up the pitch, and especially counter attack wise, because the pace is lightning in that team. So another little drop for the likes of the members. We're all going to be doing a special podcast soon where we'll pick our starting 11 between Steve Bruce's signings, Alan Pardew's signings, and Steve McLaren's signings, which I think it's going to be a lot harder than what I initially thought, because there's some decent players in that team. There's 2 Champions League winning players amongst that. Well, not winning. Champions League finalists.
Finalists, so yeah.
One Champions League winner in that one. So, comments came in from Ben Hunter, who's a member of the channel, said, feel like Joselu got a bit of a break because of his price tag. Unfortunately, it does play a part. So, Mark, you've joined with again there. Do you think Joselu got off with it lightly because he was 5 million? Was it 5 million we paid for him?
I think it was 5, yeah.
Absolutely not. He used to get stick constantly about how crap he was. Like, even like on very much so like the way that Joelinton does that when he posts things on social media and stuff like that. There was a load of people putting comments on about.
I think we might have done a video, mate, on one of the live stream, not live stream, one of the question answers. I think there was a question about Joselu, and we're saying there it's not on the amount of abuse that he's getting on social media. Especially, did he not delete his Twitter account? If I remember right.
Yeah,
there was something like that. And Joselu's experiencing the same now. Instagram, he can't put a photo on Instagram. He's got to put everything as a story, so the poor lad doesn't get abuse. What's all that about?
That's not. It's not good, is it? You know, when you think of what we class ourselves as a fan base, and you think of trying to attract players in the future, and you've got people having to delete the social media accounts because of the abuse they're getting. It's not cool. Like
Lascelles was the other one as well. He was shocking, like, but
he was horrendous.
I'm sure Lascelles had to
he wasn't very good.
Sure, he did.
He's better than Darlow, like, but he wasn't great.
Yeah, mate.
Andy Hamilton has become a member.
Hi, Andy. Thanks for signing up, mate. Appreciate it massively. So Mark, you mentioned Joselu there. Joselu, I think once he left the club, I think we'll look back and thought he wasn't a horrendous player. We've had a lot worse. And for £5 million, was he spawn Satan like some fans thought he was?
No, and it's that expectations piece. Like, people expect your striker just to drop into your team and score your 15 to 20 goals a season, and it very, very rarely happens that you can find somebody like that'll go straight into a team and hit the ground running and scoring. We've seen it with Wilson. We've had to spend a lot of money on him to bring it in. And he's that little bit older, which is away from the signings that were historically would have made under Ashley. But we're taking a little bit of a gamble on it with him having, not having the years and as much of a sell-on value, which was kind of always the selling point that he was looking for with these transfers. So are we getting as much value there? Not yet, but you can definitely see that there's more of that striking instinct there. But he's costing you £25 million as a 28, 29-year-old. In comparison to somebody that is 6-7 years younger with potential in front of them.
Yeah, you got to remember as well, though, it's a tough gig playing up front for us. They're not getting many chances. Joselu was getting maybe 1 or 2 chances a game. Joelinton was getting 1 or 2. Wilson's only getting 1 or 2, but he's happening to stick one of them away. And it's not exactly like you can't always blame the striker when you're only getting 1 shot a game. Or
who were the other strikers alongside Joselu? So around about that time, would it have been
Perez,
Perez,
yeah.
Anybody else?
Good friend had gone by a point, hadn't he?
Yeah. Must be those 2, top of my head.
Did he come in and replace Mitrovic? I think he came in and replaced Mitrovic, didn't he?
Mitrovic gone on loan to Fulham.
I think he'd gone on loan to Fulham, and then we brought him in.
See, I must admit that, not to go back over here, it's ridiculous to talk about it, but that was something I couldn't get my head around. As much as someone might not like someone, to loan Mitrovic out and get Joselu in at £5 million, I just could not believe that decision.
Mate, the whole thing with the loan for Mitrovic to Fulham, I thought was a good idea because he wasn't doing massively well. He was out of favour here, so send him out to Fulham. who were in the Championship at the time, if I remember right. Is that correct?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And he had an absolute blinder of a season in the Championship. So I thought, obviously, recall and see what he can do now.
He started off
decent.
decent.
He
started off decently, and then
I think he scored 20 odd goals, which isn't bad, right?
He had a good season, like
not a bad return.
But you think, obviously, when a player goes out on loan, if they perform that well, you think, right, bring them back, see how they do for us. Then, if not, in 6 months' time, when the next transfer window comes up, see who wants to buy him. Because if he's performed that well in the Championship the season before, there's going to be another Championship team that'll sign him up. 100%.
That's what happened. And
it was a strange one. I couldn't understand that.
Went to Fulham, stayed there, and he's done all right for them, hasn't he? He hasn't set the world alight.
He never starts a game now. He never starts a game now. But that doesn't suit their style of play, the way that them high press, which is never going to give you that.
Rossington Bay said that going back to Oslo, he scored the winner against Real last weekend.
Yeah, he did.
He did. He scored the winner. Well. A team he's playing alongside Lejeune. And apparently Lejeune's having an absolute fantastic season as well.
He headed one off the line, unbelievable. I don't know. I watched the game. He played really, really well against Madrid.
He was in the team of the week for the what's it called?
La Liga.
La Liga. Remember that?
Mate, just think of the league. Make it sound the most Spanish you can.
I'm going Premier League or something like that. But yeah, him and the goalkeeper were in that.
Marty Lawrence has said that Shola played well in the Championship. If I remember right, Shola had a fantastic start. I think he scored a hat-trick in the first couple of games. And he then got injured. Did he not get injured for the majority of that season?
He got a hat-trick. Got a hat-trick against Reading, first home game. Scored against Sheffield Wednesday in the second home game. And then he missed a lot of it, but he scored something like 10 and 11 starts that season.
I'll tell you something about Shola. You know that Joelinton setup he did for Wilson on Friday? Watch it again. That is Shola Amiobi. I'm telling you now. You watch it back. I don't think
that's a good comparison, though.
It might not be, but I'm telling you, watch it back at Shola. Everything about it, Shola. It honestly was. Just reminded us so much of Shola Amiobi. Someone said it at work, actually, to be fair. And I was like, you're right. And I watched it back and I was like, it's Shola. It just is. I'm telling you.
If it's not a chest pass, it's not Shola.
Yeah.
Shearer's best goal was down to the Amiobi's chest. I'll tell you that now.
The big anniversary of that goal today, wasn't it?
It is,
The big goals, right? The biggest goals Newcastle's had 20 years. You've got Shearer against Everton. Shola set him up. Shearer breaking the record. 206. Shola. Cisse against Shola. It's always Shola.
Shearer's all-time, to break the record, unless you just said that and it crackled. When he scored against Portsmouth, it was...
he did,
he said that. All right, no, sure.
Yeah. Shola also set up Shearer's record breaking the 206 goal against Portsmouth.
Yeah, if you go back,
remember we did that chest pass against Everton as well. The volley.
Yeah, if you go back as well, Cisse scored one against Chelsea.
In fact, that one that Shola set up against Portsmouth, it was Andy O'Brien that he took out the game. Andy O'Brien was in 10.5 for Portsmouth that day, and he was a little kind of dragged back, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I'm telling you, you watch it again.
No, carry on, Deka. Sorry, mate.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, if you watch it again, the goal, you probably won't.
We're just going to repeat yourself again.
It's Shola Amiobi, I'm telling you. And do you know what else Shola did? Do you know that goal when Shearer broke the record? I'm just taking the piss.
So Daryl sends in, sending Lejeune out on loan was a huge mistake. I disagree. I do disagree with that one. 2 bad injuries. Was he going to get his game for ourselves? The game time that he needed to see if he has recovered from that injury? I'd probably disagree. Send him out on loan is probably the best thing which we could have done.
I think they're probably right there, Chris. The games he played it was like New Year, wasn't it? When he had a little bit of run, I think, against maybe Leicester and Everton at home, both ring bells. And he looked so far off the pace. And in the summer, if someone had said your centre halves would be Lascelles, Fernandez, Clark, Lejeune would be at Eibar. Is he at Eibar? Is that where he's gone? Somewhere like that in Spain.
Alves.
I'd have said, that sounds pretty reasonable. No, I agree. Retrospectively, I mean, anyone can change their mind on something. Retrospectively, you could say, oh, well, yeah, he's done well. But at the time, it seemed to make sense to me.
Was it Bessie, you mentioned the Everton game there? Was that the one? I think it might have been Leicester. Oh, no, it was Leicester. when he cleared the ball twice with his left foot, literally straight to their player. Like, I mean, really weak clearances, I remember.
That's
And
what it was certainly
really
one of those.
piss poor.
I missed them both.
Oh.
I was down south over Christmas last year, so I missed them.
Madison scored a raker in that particular game. It was an absolute raker, but it was Lejeune had it and he tried to clear it, like really weak as water. Came back to him, he had another chance to clear it and just give it straight. And I remember loads of people sitting around me were like, "He's finished him after these injuries. Like he's finished." But obviously,
that seemed to be the consensus on Twitter as well.
Yeah, but he, as you've just mentioned, he's had 2 really bad injuries, hasn't he? So,
It's only boiling a kettle.
I know.
Sorry, at least that's boiling the kettle. Aye.
Jesus, where are you beamish?
No, she will not change the kettle. She loves the kettle that whistles. So apologise. Sorry about that. Was it that loud? Did she turn it off?
Yes.
Oh, dear me.
Right. So, what's your thoughts on that, Mark? Lejeune? So there's a comment on there saying he'd sell Ben Hunter, member of the channel, says he would sell Shaw if we got a chance in the summer.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we, in the closed season, around how Shaw didn't have a particularly great time the back end of last year, and like I've always been a massive fan of Lejeune. Thinking, he was one of the best defenders we've had at the club, and it did come to a point where last season he wasn't playing very well at all. Whether it was a bit of a hangover from the 2 bad injuries that he'd had in pretty quick succession, but I'm with Besty. Like, I think it's a good idea for him to go over there. It's a slower pace to the game. The weather's better. He can, get his confidence back, get a bit of fitness back, and then come back and start, putting the performances in for us, because he is a good defender. And, we've seen that with the players that we've got. There is good defenders in there somewhere. They've just lost the way a little bit. We're seeing that.
You look at Fernandez, mate. Fernandez made Shearer's team of the week. Fantastic block. I think that block went not missed by ourselves on Friday night, but we didn't
got
give
overshadowed,
it enough appreciation. Didn't give it enough appreciation what it deserved, because fantastic that. Because I think at the time I thought it was handball.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah,
I
you
did say, yeah.
Or at least it was going to go to VAR to double check it for a handball. But fantastic block, absolutely. Because it's easy enough for a defender just to go into that with the arms raised up and jump in, but he didn't. And
he even happened to turn his back, didn't he? He slid it, but turned his back in a way. You kind of question the guy's attitude and application. Like, amazing.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant, hasn't he, Fernandez? This season and most stuff.
About Lejeune, and he's that injury prone. Like COVID would have finished him off probably. So it's probably better for him that he's away down Spain, because being around Benton Park at the minute, he would have been crocked. That would be it.
Besty, your mate here.
Ruben's back.
Can you remember Ruben?
Ruben.
Luton scored against us yesterday. Oh, I bet it's lost it. Was I playing yesterday? So I got the alerts come up for, because I've got a bit of a soft spot for Real Betis. And they got beat. I think 2 or 3-0 yesterday. So sorry about that, Ruben. Since I got on board, mate. So since I got on board, they've gone to shit.
Yeah. So Luke Nicholson says sell Fernandez and Clark.
Give over.
Oh, mate,
for real. Like, have you actually watched us this season?
That is a bold shout, like a really, really bold shout, because I think Fernandez probably my first defender on that team sheet. He's starting 11. And Clark is fantastic when he needs to come into that team. Fantastic. He's
one of the most underrated.
I don't think you're going to find another defender who's as good as a substitute as what he is. That's willing to, like, obviously just sit second fiddle, sit in the shadows, then come in when needs be. You're going to find it very hard to replace him.
Nah, he's been outstanding, Clark. Like, I mean, when we signed him, I was a little bit underwhelmed by it because of kind of what had happened at Villa, but he just really, really impressed. Every time he's gone into the team, he's done a job for us and served we're very, very well. He's probably a little bit unfortunate that he can't get into the team because of the way Fernandez is playing.
Well, maybe you look at
what effectively would be his position.
Was it last season or the season before where he had an absolute fantastic start? He scored a few goals.
Yeah,
I think it was when Lascelles came back, he got dropped.
He's had a bad injury as well, hasn't he? He's been out a long time as well. So, we don't want to rush him back too quickly. But it's something that it's in terms of the area of the pitch, it's something we've spoke about a lot of times, haven't we? Of the strength we've got there. There's a lot of good quality players there. And I think Bessie might have just touched on it there, like that. I remember when we played that back three with Narafa, where we had Lascelles in the centre. we had Shea one side and Lejeune the other. And I'm telling you, I didn't think there was many better in the Premier League. And it might sound silly to say, but you had Lascelles was on form in terms of being a leader, but also just being solid. But you had 2 ball-playing centre-halves, bringing the ball out from the back, man. It's brilliant. It was brilliant, but unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out, does it really?
And that just shows you that, like I was just saying there before, we have got good defenders. They've just lost the way a little bit. And Darryl sums it up perfectly there when he's talking about Shea, suffering from being coached by a poor manager. It's not just Shea that's suffering in that manner.
Do you know what it is,
a whole
though?
host of players on that team.
I think at times with Shea, especially last season, towards the end of last season, he didn't look interested. Didn't look like he wanted to be here.
Yeah.
And
Man City in the cup. Man City in the cup was horrendous.
You can't put that down to Bruce. Can't put that down to Bruce. I think that's basically Fabian Shea just thinking, I can't be fucked with this tonight. And that's
we all thought
to
he'd
his
be in the
attitude.
summer, didn't we?
We did.
We talked about that. And we thought he'd be gone, and he hung around, and it was Lejeune that went.
You've got to look at that and think Shea is the one that came out after the Southampton defeat and basically said, "We were shit."
Yeah.
And it goes back to the days under Lascelles where he came out against Southampton, albeit the same team, and they said, it's not good enough. This club deserves better than that. The players in the dressing room don't give a fuck. It must be something to do with Southampton.
Long trip.
Yeah.
It's a long trip.
Not as far as Ipswich, like.
Or Norwich.
No, I was going to say Norwich.
Well, it's Ipswich, Norwich, it's the same place, isn't it?
So there's a question that's been sent in there by Steve saying Lascelles doesn't get enough credit for me. I think I was one of these people that was in this boat thinking when Lascelles is there, I quite... Sometimes I would say I use Lascelles as a scapegoat, and I hate saying that, but I think he's easy to blame at times. But once again, last season when he was missing for quite a few games last season, that team looked completely unorganised without him in that back line. But I think Lascelles is another one where you'll have 4 or 5 fantastic games, then 2, 3 really bad ones. It's one of those things where there's no consistency with him.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you're in agreement.
I'm not his biggest fan. I do. I probably agree with you actually, because there is times where I think we'll miss his leadership and he's brave. No question of that. He turns like the Titanic. That's one worry I've got. He's so slow at turning. If you cast your mind back to the Southampton game away, I know everyone played poorly, but it was a prime example of just how slow he actually is. Lascelles, Longstaff lost the ball, and his attempt to try and block the challenge was really poor. But I don't know. I'm not. I think if you need to progress as a team, he's the type of player you'd have to advance from. Do you know what I mean? You need to get someone in that's better than him. Yeah.
So Darryl said, Besty, moving to you, mate. He said, we didn't miss Lascelles on Friday. In fact, no, I think Besty's busy. So Mark, we'll go to you, mate.
You just put the kettle on, Mike. So.
was it whistling?
Hang on, we'll go, Mark. Besty, you just have your kettle on. Mark, so said that we didn't miss Lascelles.
Can you put the kettle on there for us? Can you? Yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? Because we've talked at length about when he's had poor performances. We've talked at length where we do miss him, but I think it was one of those where the defense that we had in there, that although they're still, and I mean, I know it's against Crystal Palace that aren't a particularly attacking football and that kind of thing, especially missing Zaha, but they did reasonably well kind of there. And you've got Fernandez is a very capable leader in his absence of Lascelles. And
I think even when Lascelles is on the pitch, you can tell that Fernandez has got those leadership and those captain.
He was captain of Swansea, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's there, and he's played for his national team and that sort of thing. So he is obviously held in high esteem within the squad and stuff like that. And as much as I don't like him, Shelvey coming back in as a senior player as well as the club captain. He's the vice captain and stuff like that. So again, it gives you that little bit of authority on the pitch, maybe to just kind of.
Then you look back, mate. Was Lascelles, not Lascelles, was Fernandez not the one the other night that refused to take the captain's armband? And he gave it a Clark.
Oh, I can't remember now.
When Lascelles went off at half time, when he came back out on the pitch, then he went back off against, who was that against? Was that Southampton?
That's when he got it. Oh, when he got
Must
in?
have been.
No,
Must have
no,
been.
no. It
Must have-
was. Was that
Has
not?
to
No,
be-
it was.
has to be Southampton, mate.
It must have been because Lascelles did get injured, didn't he? Down
Yeah,
there.
he went off. So he was injured before.
Wasn't it
half-time.
Chelsea? Was Chelsea, man?
No, it was home. It was the
Chelsea.
home game,
It was
wasn't it?
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Aye, because he wouldn't come off, and you were
That's
saying
it,
why
aye,
did
sorry,
Bruce
aye,
let him
was
come
Chelsea.
out? No,
Aye.
Yeah.
That's right.
Aye,
That's
so
right.
like, then Lascelles came on the pitch, took about 3 steps on the pitch, and then went off.
3 steps on the pitch. Get it?
He was on the piss. He looked like he was on the piss. Then apparently the captain's armband went to Fernandez, and Fernandez just said no. But I think that's down to the fact that Clark is probably the most senior player that was on the field. I didn't look into that too much. I think there was people kicking off saying, why is Fernandez not took it? It obviously shows that as unrest in the dressing room. I don't think that's the case. I think that was just a sign of respect from Fernandez to give it to Clark, if I'm being honest with you. I think there's no more in there.
Clark was Villa's club captain as well when he left there.
Yeah.
So he's definitely got that about him as well.
For me, I've got to be honest. I haven't played at the best of levels, but I've played at a canny level. You don't have to have a captain. Like, everyone's a captain. If you had Richie on there and he didn't have the armband, Richie's still a captain. He's still a leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think you have to have, like, for example, listen, I love nobody more than I love Alan Shearer, but I don't particularly agree that a striker should be a captain. I'll be honest with you. I don't. It's not a position, I think. But at that time, you'll have different leaders in different areas of the field. Do you know what I mean?
When goalkeepers, isn't Lloris captain of Spurs? Goalkeeper.
I think it's Kane. Harry Kane is.
Is it
But there
Kane
is
now?
certainly goalkeepers have been.
Casillas was for Spain.
Casillas was one, yeah.
But you're going to have characters within the dressing room and leaders, that aren't a captain. I reckon Carroll, I guarantee you, Carroll doesn't play, doesn't score, just gets injured. But I guarantee you that he's loud in the dressing room, and I guarantee you he's on the training ground giving shit to people. So you've got more than just a captain. Of course you have. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that season that came up, the 2010 season, you had Nolan, but Joy Barton, Steve Harper, all of whom I suspect will have been captains for a few games. Not just like a half year and there. I think Deka's right. I'd say always, more recently, kind of thought the captaincy seems to be almost like a ceremonial thing as much as it is because we have at the minute, we've got Richie who can do it, Lascelles can do it. Fernandez, for all Fernandez kind of maybe ceded to Clark against Chelsea. Fernandez was Swansea captain for a bit. He played for Napoli for a good few years, so he's experienced. He would be a good captain. I've long since suspected that when we had Javier Manquillo playing alongside him, that Fernandez brought the best out of him because they speak Spanish together, so Fernandez can basically direct him, So Liam Anderson's point to say that Lascelles is a better captain than he is.
Bring in what's his face? Defender, Spanish lad, older fella, beard.
Jesus Gomez.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He brought him in just because he was that Spanish authority in the dressing room.
Yeah.
And he's admitted that, saying that that's the reason why he was brought into the club, for the experience in the dressing room. So you go back to that. But Liam Anderson said that Lascelles is a better captain than he is player. I'm not sure if people have watched it, but the club released the Zoom Army thing last week, and it was Lascelles who was the player who was featured in it. And a lot of the questions are basically down to what it's like being a captain and a leader of this team. It's a great interview, to be fair. It comes across really well in it, Lascelles, as he always does with the interviews. But I probably agree with that comment, to be honest with you. I think we've said in the past, if he wasn't captain of the club, he probably wouldn't be starting as many games as what he is, or has done in the past.
Yeah, I think, if I'm being honest with you, I think if he was... There was a time when people were saying he should play for England, I remember, and I used to laugh at that. I used to laugh at that because he's just...
when Maguire went, wasn't it, that time?
Yeah, and I've heard a statement or a sort of a quote. He said that he doesn't even look at the England team sheet because he knows he'll not be in it, or something like that. He said, I've seen it on social media, but I agree with what he's saying there. I think he is a better captain than he is player.
So Callum Lewis, Gary Speed was a good leader. Yeah, hands down. We've had some absolutely fantastic leaders over the years who haven't been captain of the club.
Speed wasn't he? Speed really was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He had this real sort of what's the word? A presence, on the field. He was just there, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean? What a presence that guy had! Unbelievable guy.
Bloody handsome as well, wasn't he?
He was. He
had the lot.
Great, just a great bloke in general.
Such a shame.
Really good footballer. A good
Very
footballer.
good. I think he was underrated, massively underrated.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
I always remember when I was at Bairn, I was like 10 when Leeds won the league, 92. And he was like he had the long black hair. He played as a winger more than centre as he did for us. And I always thought I was like this young kind of like almost like Giggs, because Giggs was very, very similar with even down to the haircut, like left winger for Man U and Leeds. And Speed came inside, and he was, I think it might even have been with Leeds when he came into centre mid. And he came to Newcastle, and the last thing he'd say was for us as a winger, because he seemed he'd slowed down an awful lot. He kind of bulked out. He was a pretty big bloke, in my kind of memory, at least.
Yeah,
but he was just a fantastic. I remember the header he scored against was it PSV at home?
He was fantastic in the air, wasn't he? Brilliant.
Well, he used to be my dream type of midfielder that would arrive late in the box. You know, he would trot along, but when the ball was in the air, that's when he would make his move. He's very difficult to mark then, and he's on the run, if that makes sense. And he was unstoppable when he was in the air. Unstoppable.
Similar, he was a very clever player. Very clever.
Likes of, you go back and you look at likes of Lampard and Gerrard, those were those sort of players that were late coming into the box, sitting on the edge of the box and just twatting that ball as hard as they could. Yeah. And Speed was
It's good. It's good.
We haven't, to be fair, we haven't had that for a long time. That sort of midfield.
Like him. No,
it's a strange one, you know, because I really do feel. I'm sorry, I'm going to go back a little bit, but you see, like to me, Robert Lee is the complete centre midfielder. You know, he is box to box, like a Steven Gerrard, by the way. I'm not going to go on about him, but he is just unreal in terms of being all over the pitch. You know, you can do it in the box. He can tackle fire. He can carry the ball. He can shoot. He can cross. And Robert Lee was a bit like that in regards to just being everywhere. Now it's very much like you are a holding midfielder. You have to just defend, and you know you are this attack. It's very much like back in the day when I used to love football. I watch it a lot. It was a centre midfielder did everything. That's what your centre midfielder was. And I do think a lot of people think a Shelby should be like that. This centre midfielder that does every single job on the field. And I'm afraid it just doesn't seem to happen these days like that. In my opinion,
I think it's because. With like, I'm not a tactician by any stretch, but I suppose with 4-4-2, you've got two centre midfielders who've got to do that. Now you've got like banks of 2 and 3, and you've got defenders midfielders who, because they've got someone ahead of them to take the ball from halfway to the edge of the 18-yard box, whatever. I suspect that's what that might be total bullshit. Like, so I'm quite happy to be called on that. Like, if need be.
What's that Steven Gerrard stat? Is he the only player to score in a? Is it a FA Cup final, League Cup final, Champions League final, and Europa League final or something like that? There's 4 cups finals that you scored in. It's something ridiculous. Only player to ever do it, and I don't know. He's just. I know we're not a Liverpool podcast, but Gerrard was unbelievable.
It's a great point. I appreciate we're not, but it's not until these players retire when you realise just how damn good these players were. And Gerrard's one of them. And I think it's about Shearer as well. I remember my dad used to tell me when I used to go to the game, he honestly used to say, you have to remember, son, when he's not around, we'll have loads of shite after him, and you'll not realise just how good he was. And I think you sit now and you realise just how good Shearer was for us. Just how good he was.
So definitely had plenty of shit since, haven't we?
He's right, like, he's right.
That's for sure.
So Steve Carson sends an Owen, by far our worst captain. There couldn't be many games that Owen's captain. Surely.
He was
obviously the season.
He was for a fair while, like it
must only mean a season.
Maybe a season and a half.
Yeah, because when Shearer obviously had it,
didn't he?
Yeah,
that he was injured for half of the run last season.
Scott Parker picked it up for a while, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then Jeremy was 2006 when he came in. Jeremy's the worst captain for me.
Jeremy, he was.
Jeremy, yeah.
I was there, when we signed him, I used to watch him when he was at Borough, and I thought he was brilliant. He would bang free kicks in all over the shot, and I thought, get him on the pitch. And he was shocking for us. He was terrible.
Obviously, Owen would have been captain under. Obviously, it's Shearer.
He only got the captain because he was a senior player, and obviously was an England striker and all of that kind of thing. Came as a big money
and the number 9 shirt to sign for.
Yeah, I think you've got to remember hindsight's a fantastic thing. And at the time, come on, I'm sure all of us, but I remember where I was when Michael Owen signed. I remember how excited I was. That was a huge signing. And yes, it didn't work out, but you couldn't you couldn't look back and say, oh, like, you know, the club weren't trying or we shouldn't have done it. In hindsight, of course, you can say we shouldn't have done it, but I'm just talking about at the moment in time. And obviously, clearly, you mentioned Shearer going to give him the number 9. That's how much Shearer thought it was going to be good for the club by getting on in, you know?
Yeah.
You know what it is? If Michael Owen had left in 2000, before the relegation season, so if someone had come in, taken him, and yeah, no bother, there's 10 million.
The season after he scored the brace against Sunderland, that season.
Yeah, aye. So if Keegan had sold him that summer, when they got good year, it was called Oldham, he'd be a success. He would have been a good signing, a couple of good seasons. It's just because that last season he didn't turn up and he had the brochure came out trying to sell himself, and he just didn't bother his arse. But up until that point, I thought he won, and I still look back on Owen. And there's times when he obviously on Twitter he's dreadful in that, like. I've got really happy memories of watching Michael Owen play for Newcastle. And
I'm with you there.
I kind of you can separate the man from what they've done, like, you know, I mean, how it ended and all that carry on, like. But yeah, it makes us feel a little bit, because I was 23. I was so excited. I think
Besty, I think you've summed up right. I think you can appreciate him as a footballer, as what he done when he was on the field for ourselves, but you'll never forgive him what he didn't. The heart, you can't forgive him for not having the heart in that relegation season, basically.
Yeah,
that's a massive shout that from Besty. Like, if you take away that the bitter end and the last season, take that away, and you would say he was a success, because he scored some very important goals for it. He scored some big goals. He did as much as, I hate to say it, did improve with as a team and stuff like that, and push we're on a little bit. But
I think before the season, Besty's talking about. Oh, sorry, Besty. Sorry.
I was going to say, sorry, Deka, just quickly, you've got a caveat by saying you could take the bad bits out of any player's time at Newcastle and it would look better. So, you know, we can't just completely disassociate that last season from Michael, because that happened.
Apart from Perez, mate. Apart from Perez.
I would say. Hasn't worked with Leicester, has it really? Hasn't worked.
Definitely not.
No surprise.
Because he's been found out.
No surprise there at all.
Because he's been found out.
30 million quid.
He's shite.
30 million quid, man.
I'm saying that it's nearly January. He'll do his usual 3 or 4 months of playing.
Yeah. One of the questions sent in, Ben Hunter, it says once again, lads, who is your all-time Newcastle player guilty pleasure? So is yours going to be Scott Parker? You always mention Scott Parker.
I do like him, but no, mine's even worse than that.
Wow.
I'll let you go first and see if you get who I've got.
I don't know. I don't think I've got a guilty pleasure. People didn't like this player. I didn't know. Honestly, it's really hard to think, especially over the last handful of years.
Shall I go then? Because I've got mine immediately.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Gabriel Obertan.
Oh, it's a shout, mate.
Yeah, right.
Honestly,
that season he got injured. The last season,
he was terrible for a long time.
Mark, I'm not going to disagree with you. There was times in Europe where he looked phenomenal in the Europa League, really just terrorising teams.
Hansi, he was outstanding.
And I used to go to every game, as you all did as well. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying I used to go to the games, and people around us used to just fucking have his life every time he got the ball. Yeah. And it used to really annoy us. I loved him because he had pace, and I just felt that, like, don't get us wrong, he was poor, I'm not saying, but the question is, a guilty pleasure, I feel like. And I used to always go to the game willing for him to do well. And I remember when he scored against Leicester, the winner against Leicester, he cut inside and hit it. I can't tell you how happy I was when he scored that goal. Yeah. I was holding my fingers up behind us and everything, because the people behind us were the ones that were obviously giving him shit,
Yeah. I don't. Do you know what it is? I don't have a guilty pleasure, but I think now's about time that I probably should come out and say sorry to somebody.
Gouffran.
Gouffran.
I knew it. No way.
So
this is a huge moment.
There was seasons and seasons where I slag Gouffran off, and go right back to when this podcast started and the audio only podcast.
I had to sit there and listen to it.
It's me ripping into Gouffran.
Why was that, Chris? Why was that?
I think it's because, mate, he dropped down to the he was playing midfield at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah,
centre midfield, and it was no fault of his own. The Moors, and he just refused to move out of the centre circle, and I hated him for it, and it wasn't his fault. But when you look at it, we brought him in for 500 grand.
Yeah, it was a player. I think it was 700 grand. We'll sign him as a striker. Then he started playing left wing, if you
Left
like.
wing, yeah.
It was actually quite good.
After the Euro League season because we played him.
Yeah.
He
That's
played
right,
for
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux,
yeah.
And
He scored some massive goals for us.
He did.
Massive
Pardew
goals.
turned him into
less
like
than a million quid, mate, and I'm sat there slagging him
Yeah.
off as if we just signed him for 80 million quid.
Pardew turned him into like a defensive winger, didn't he? Like a defensive-minded winger. And his work rate and graft, honestly, I thought was phenomenal on the wing. Like he used to work so hard for the team, and he would play in any position that you asked him to play in.
So I just want to say, Johan Gouffran, if you're all watching, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. I really am.
His missus was phenomenal as well.
She was what, mate? Say that again.
She was phenomenal.
Phenomenal. She's also called Fanny.
Cheers, Mark, lad. Another member.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Thank
Not
you,
that
Mark. Thanks,
Not
you're
that-
welcome.
Not that Mark.
The main Mark.
Right, so
Maybe, I'm,
for Dave Bowers' big toe. Anybody know the story about Dave Bowers' big toe?
Yeah, went up Katie Price.
Wait, we'll get on that one next podcast.
I'm quite happy you're doing now. I'll show on that one if you want, mate.
Me too, mate. We'll show the video and everything.
Jonas used to get a fair bit of stick, didn't he, from a large proportion of the crowd.
Mate,
He did.
Bobby
He
Robson
did.
got stick, man. Bobby Robson got stick. I mean, what chance have you got? What chance have we got?
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know whether that's a unfashionable one because there was a big proportion of people liked him, but I loved Jonas.
Good shout, Daniel. Good
Danny,
shout, Danny, lad.
Yeah, he was good.
Great shout.
Yeah.
That guy. I don't think he was ever hated. He was maybe he's underappreciated, but I don't think he was ever really. Yeah.
Same with Gosling as well. He was very.
Yeah.
I've
very
got
similar.
one. I've got one.
You've got one. He's got one.
Danny Simpson.
Yeah,
I was
that's
thinking of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
That's a
again,
good
that was more kind of when he left and stuff like that, and people
Mate,
slagging
no,
him like
that
saying that he
season
was.
we finished fifth. It was down to him as well because I would love to know how many last-ditch tackles and how many goal line clearances he made that season.
He was a huge part of that team. Yeah, the promotion, like the first season back up. I remember the 5-1 game. He was fantastic. And he seemed to have pitched battles with what do they call the Irish winger Sunderland had. No one likes him now because he won't be.
McLean.
Yeah, McLean. James McLean.
James McLean.
No, I don't like McLean, not because of the poppy business. That's up to him, but because of that, because of how he would behave in the derbies. I hated him for that. He was, but Danny Simpson just had his number totally.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. There's a good shout, Danny Simpson, like because he got a lot of shit in, like a lot of shit. I'll tell you something else who I used to hate in the derbies. Actually, I just hated him in general. Seb Lawson. I could not fucking stand Seb Lawson.
He was just a wanker in every game.
They had a few, didn't they, Sunderland?
Though, wasn't he? He was.
He was shy. There was someone else that had
Deka,
Gardner.
I remember.
Gardner, Chris Gardner, Craig Gardner.
Craig Gardner.
I went to the Newcastle Sunderland game, the Ryan Taylor one. I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast. The Taylor free kick one, and I sat in the Sunderland end, and I was probably about 15 seats in from the corner, so where their goal was. Then in the first, it must have been the first 10 minutes, we had a shot on goal and Lawson handballed it on the line. Handball, just hit it away. And that was right in front of me, and there was me and John Yemen sat there side by side.
Oh, so you're in the home end, obviously.
Oh, in the home end, surrounded by Sunderland fans, and I just looked. I went, "Is he taking the fucking piss out?" Like, do you know when you just want to go wild? Like, because you've seen it. Like how the referee and the linesman didn't see it is beyond me. Like, since that day, I've just hated him. And was that him that kicked? Was it Tioli that he kicked in the chest or something? Was that Lawson?
Yeah.
Aye, that's right. It was. Yeah, he kicked him in the chest. Yeah,
that was the game. The game Tioli got sent off.
Aye, that's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah, and we were in total control of that, weren't we? Total control.
Well, look at the other one. Look at the one where me and you were on a fight coming back from Magaluf. The Colaccini one where Colaccini got sent off and he got rescinded 10 hours later.
That was never a fucking red card, that either.
It wasn't
never a red card.
It wasn't a red card.
Hey, don't go down this route, lads, because I'm getting upset. So don't go down this route.
I'll tell you what.
Seb Lawson, for me, like, I've got mates who are Sunderland fans who think he's like beautiful, like all chiseled and nothing. You know, it's always sunny. You know, the McPoyles, how they think that the one who's got one eyebrow's lush. It's like Sunderland are the McPoyles, and this is what they put forward as that kind of, and lads, how I do better.
Do you know when I worked at 3, I've told you the story about Jonas, right? Seb Lawson used to come into my store quite a lot. and he was a wanker then as well. Absolute wanker. He used to
He
come.
was a
Honestly,
wank off his mobile phone as well.
he used to come in and think he was that. He thought he was better, man. Honestly, he used to come in and think it was the greatest thing that's ever walked.
Do you know what it is? I think we could do one like spin-off podcast of just discussing those
People that were
derbies. Just discussing derbies. Shall we do one just discussing derbies from the bad to the great?
I like that
idea.
idea.
Shout that, like, it's absolutely
That's a
shout.
really good shout. Discuss
So,
derbies.
no doubt
Yeah.
somebody else will steal it.
I've got lots of memories of chucking pint glasses up off ceilings and off walls and getting absolutely drenched doing the shoulder.
Blue Moon Boy 1950 says Kieran Dyer gets stick for his part with Sir Bobby Robson second. He was his hero. A great talent. I think. I just want to give a shout out to the True GEORDIE podcast. He does one with Kieran Dyer, and it's a fantastic listen. It's a fantastic watch. Yeah. Dyer comes across really well in it, and basically says that everything with Sir Bobby Robson, it's not as what we portray it as. There's a lot more which happened behind the scenes and things like that.
Yeah,
and it comes across really well. And I think when you dig beneath the surface and look at things outside of football and behind the scenes with Dyer, it was tough for him. Of course, he's making mega bucks and things like that, but it was very, very hard for him to adjust where he had game from. And obviously coming to Tyneside, and the Goldfish Bowl gets mentioned a lot. But
he was a prick, though.
He was, but the whole everyone saying, "Oh, he's burning £50 notes." Apparently, it's complete bullshit. Complete bullshit.
I don't know. Like I've got it on good source that when he went to see a magician or whoever it was, and the magician was taking the piss out of him. And he then burnt the £20 notes and went, well, can you do this? Which is fine, to be honest with you. If he's having to go, you have
lying little bastards. Don't give them any time of day.
But speaking about Dyer, you have to. That's probably the only good thing Woodhull did was buy him. He signed him for $6 million. And honestly, I thought Dyer had it all. I thought he was absolutely amazing. If he didn't have
brilliant
rubber legs or really bad legs, basically. But the problem is though, we played him out left wing, didn't we? And he didn't like it. He wanted to play centre midfield. That's the bottom line, and he didn't like it. Great player, though. Great player.
Talent, absolutely great talent.
He used to link up with Nobby. Him and Nobby were amazing on the right-hand side. Fantastic.
Julie Bigger said, in the vein of the Wards video, the one which we did last season, any chance of a Christmas one? That's a shout, that, to be fair, Julie.
Julie just wants to see us get pissed again.
She does just want to see us get pissed. It looks that way.
Julie, yeah. I mean, I work with someone called Julie Bigger.
I'm adverse to that, like.
I'll get pissed with the Santa hat on. I'll tell you that. I don't mind.
Oh, I'm game. Anything to do with drink is absolutely fine by me.
That awards night was absolutely fantastic. I had a great night. I had a hangover for about 4 days, like, on the back of it.
It went rapidly downhill, didn't it?
It was great. It was a really, really good laugh getting everybody together. And we've got a few different people on the channel now since the awards night. We've had a few dropouts as well. But it'll be great. We'll have a think. We'll see if we can do something. We've got what, 3 weeks?
We've got crank.
Yeah, we'll do something, right? You've heard it, yeah, Julie. We'll do it.
Cheers, Julie, for the idea.
Member request, we'll do that.
Julie will have to join one of the rounds and do a round or something like that.
Yeah.
Seems a idea.
Ben Hunter has said, if a statue was being made for a player in the past 10 years, who would it be? 10 years?
Someone give us a ballpark of who the players could be, sorry? Like the ballpark of 10 years?
Well, me, you look from 2010, so the relegation season afterwards.
Peter Lovenkrands.
No, Teore. Has to be Teore.
Why? Because he's died.
Why? Just for the sentimental thing of it, mate. Because there's not like let's look at the last 10 years. There's not many players that have had a fantastic career, has there?
But like as much as like, I mean, this will probably sound controversial, right? But what did Teore really do other than scoring that goal against Arsenal?
Well, if you're looking at moments, mate, in the last 10 years, is that up there with some of yours?
Deka's gone.
Deka's gone.
I'll tell you what it is, Mark. I've got to give you credit for that one. Like, I was just fucking straight. Is it because he died?
You know, it's the thing. Well, it's not because he was a massive legend of the team. He wasn't brilliant. Yes, he had a couple of good seasons, but he had some bloody horrendous ones as well.
So if you're gonna, mate, you've got to pick one player in the last 10 years. Who are you picking that goes above that then?
I would rather have Jonas here than Teore for starters.
Jonas?
I'm not saying he's the answer.
Like.
I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm just saying that I'd have him.
Well, we've already signed. We've already signed Jeff Hendrick's statue, haven't we?
Yeah, he's already there. Mate.
Brilliant.
Class. Oh dear me.
Can you just think of anybody else then? Any advance on Theory or Jonas? Mark, do you not want to get a Ben Arthur one there?
If it wouldn't, absolutely not.
Benny was so good, wasn't he?
He wasn't. That's tell a lie. He was every 6 or 7 games.
The problem you've got is none of them deserve it. That's why it's hard to call an answer, isn't it? I'm going to say Jonas, me. Like
the only person I'd build a statue for, and again, realistically, he didn't really achieve anything, but is Rafa, just for what he brought and kind of.
He's not a fucking right back. He said player, man. He said player.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like that's the only kind of person that I can think of.
Because there's no one, mate. There's no one. Then my
there's nobody that
say Ben Arthur. I don't know, but you're trying to think of someone who's done it over a long period of time and stayed with it. And that last game of Jonas is how we treat him, and he always give 100% for the shirt. That's just why, you know. I tell you, someone else who I absolutely adored, by the way, is Colaccini. I absolutely adored him. I thought he was a fabulous player, Colaccini. To go back to the other one about who thinks it was shit or whatever.
Yeah, the Gutierrez one's it's a really good like redemption story, isn't it? Where he's kind of he got farmed off to Norwich because he was poorly. Basically, he got treated awfully, and he's one of my favourite players ever. But he certainly isn't the best player from the last 10 years. Yeah. But the way he was signed as a winger, came back during that season under Pardew, where he played a bit deeper behind like the 3 up front. Him, Tiote, and Cabaye, and you had Barcy, Ben Arthur out front. And then to have that and come back, and even though the goal against West Ham was safe anyway, really, but and just to have the comeback and the captain's on back against Man U and stuff, and that, it's just because it's Hollywood that like.
Yeah. I think Jonas is a shout. Like I think it really is. But I think, do you know what it is? If you take away from the likes of statues, you've got the Joe Harvey plaque, don't you, towards the Gallagher side where the Melbourne statue is. Yep. I think those sort of plaques and those sort of moments should be highlighted a lot more around the ground. So obviously the goal against Arsenal for Tiote, obviously because he has passed away, so that would be a fantastic honour to the likes of him and his family. But moments like that, I think they should be highlighted a lot more in the ground. And we mentioned this on the Friday night recording, the likes of our trip down memory lane sort of thing, and our highlights and cup wins and things like that in the past. It's a glass cabinet that you would find in IKEA, chucked on level 3 of the stadium. And I think if you focus, because we haven't won a lot, of course we haven't, but if you focus on moments like that, which fans appreciate and fans love, if you put things like that around the ground, then it's fantastic to see. And I don't understand why the club haven't done it. I really don't.
It's a travesty that there is only really that plaque for what Harvey and that team achieved back then, because that is a big thing to go and win the equivalent of the UEFA Cup as it was at the time. And all there is a small plaque on the wall of a bust of his head stuck on the side of the club shop. Realistically,
Joe Harvey was the cup winning captain in the 50s as well. He was since the war, he's missed a Newcastle, isn't he? Really. Obviously we don't win stuff. Bob Moncur was last captain to win something, but Joe Harvey, and I'm sure Joe Harvey where he was because it was that team. It feels like he's a bit of an afterthought, Joe Harvey, sadly. Yeah.
And I'm old enough to remember.
We can't even think about it, right? We can't speak about statues and plaques all day long. The one person who deserves one is Kevin Keegan.
Without any doubt. Without any doubt, yeah. We wouldn't be here.
That'll not happen when Ashley's. They'll not happy as long as Ashley's at the club.
It's true.
That should be the first thing that happens.
The East Stand needs to be. The East Stand needs to be renamed. To Keegan.
What we should also do is take the fucking Alan Shearer one and bring that around the ground.
100%.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Get that on the corner down next to Bobby or something like that.
Because the only people
corner
that
there outside of
is
9.
the away coaches that drop them off on is it Barrack Road?
People on the bus on Barrack Road.
Yeah, he drops them. It's the only people that see it. Bring in the other ground, man. Hire him in front of the Gallagher.
Out the flat windows.
Or the people that get their wings at Charles Bar before the game.
Yeah, but it's only there because the council had to buy it and pay for it, so it had to go on council property. That's why it's where it is.
One day all this will change, and we'll get what what we want. You know, I tell you, I don't particularly like them, but the statue at Man United, you would have seen it outside the ground with Besty, low.
Busby and that. Oh.
That's just an incredible statue. And you know, someday when he's gone, we'll have our. It'll not be that exactly that, but it'll be something like that, which would be better.
I started something off. Oh God, it must have been about 3, maybe 4 years ago. Now, probably 3 years ago, where you're not going to see for much longer because obviously the building work which is going on. But do you know the side of the Strawberry pub?
Yeah,
it's just a plain clean
for the
side.
mural. Yeah,
and I said put a mural on that because it'll look absolutely fantastic. At the time, I was like, I'll even start Just Giving page to get a mural painted on there with obviously the permission of the Berry Bar, and it'll be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
the Berry's going to be like, you know, batteries not included.
Yeah,
that's what the Berry's going to be like. Assuming they've got that kind of really out building up in amongst all the kind of glass. And
it'll be like up. That's what we like. Up. It's just a little old house, like in the middle of like a massive new build thing.
Yeah,
it's awful like that. That's going to happen because obviously where I work, I often look out the window and you see the strawberry, and then you just see the ground, don't you? And to think, oh, that's just not going to be visible anymore is pretty shit. Like,
but you see wankers sitting on the beer terrace out the back, waving to you with pints while you're in work.
Driving up the Felon bypass, you can see St James's from like miles and miles away. There's a point in the Felon bypass before you get past like KFC and after KFC and stuff, where it's the end of the road. You've got the road going along before it turns off, and St James's is right. It's perfect, right, and it just looks brilliant.
It's that turn as well, mate. So when you come off the where you turn right off the bypass to turn towards the bridge, you got the dual carriageway, and obviously the slip road comes down from Gateshead. When you hit those traffic lights and you just turn that corner, and that's when you see St James's. You've got the Tyne Bridge right in front of you. You've got St James's Park to the left. And on an evening game, when you see the floodlights there, it looks fantastic. And me and you mentioned this because we done the podcast with Newcastle United Foundation about men's mental health and how the club means so much to a lot of blokes and women in the region. And we're saying, like, when you're in the car, the first thing you look for is St James's Park. And if you've got the kids in the car, you say, look, like, and you point it out, it's always that one thing which you point out, and it's soon going to disappear, and it's an absolute shame that it's going to disappear.
I still do it on the metro. I mean, I'm 38, I'm 40 in a year and a half, and like on the metro, I still look out the window, looking at what's just waiting to see St James's, and I don't think that'll ever change, unless you can't see it, you know, unless this happens. And it's just it is a shame because it's with it being on top of a hill, it's like a focal point for a lot of, like, not just Newcastle but Tyneside. Like you can see from the Felon bypass what's happening, the Eastgate said. You can see
it's almost gone. It's almost gone from Scots Road, mate. You come down Scots Road and you turn left where obviously the Red Hill Bridge comes, that dual carriageway comes, it goes past the casino.
Yeah.
It's almost gone.
Them two great big buildings there now, haven't you?
You see it, and there's a crane there, and there's a building. Like,
I drove in this morning for work because I haven't been in work for ages, and I you know where Heworth Metro is. You know, if you're driving out from where I live, obviously, you've got Heworth Metro, and I can see it in the distance. And I used to always point out a Leila going, there's the stadium, and coming up, as you've just mentioned, them two buildings, it is getting a little bit harder to see. Do you know what I mean? And of course, it's a shame.
Mate,
it's shit.
Do you know what it is? It's a great moment when obviously you just mentioned there, like I say, in Leila, you're pointing the ground out. It's a great moment when you have on the car, and your kids point that out to you before you even mention the thing. It's fantastic because Nolan's pointed out to me a few times. Your dad, there's a ground. That's where you go. And it's fantastic.
That's Daddy's church there. I would say that.
It's just it's an absolute crying shame. And we've had the luxury of having that stadium in the city centre and being surrounded by pubs and bars and things like that. And that'll never change. But that view, with it disappearing, I don't know, it kills us a little bit. Absolutely kills us. And Mike Ashley's to blame for that once again for selling the land.
Yeah, he is.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Right, so Ben Hunter says, worst you've ever felt as a Toon fan. There's a lot to talk about.
How many can I have?
I've got two. Like, I have to say, I cannot say one. One was when we sold Andy Cole. I was only young, but I can't tell you how much I cried. I was a broken kid. And the second would be the first relegation. That would be the two for me.
The Villa game.
Yeah.
No. Andy Cole, I was it was a lunchtime. I was at chess club at school. I'm sitting in this, one lads comes in. Obviously, it's like 1990, early 95. So pre-mobiles and just go into the library or whatever. So I'm sitting playing chess and what lads, Andy Cole's gone. I'm like, I kid, aren't you? Obviously, I had to wait till I got home before it was, and I'd say mistake. I cried myself to sleep that night.
Did you just say you were playing chess with one of the lads?
I was a chess club at school, aye. I wouldn't care, but I was rubbish. I was rubbish.
So my moment is first relegation. I was watching the game I was in town and I was watching it in Crow's Nest, I want to say. Is that what it's called? Yeah, the person just down from university.
Used to be Barras.
So I watched the first half in there and I was with John Yemen and Kev Nickel watching it.
That's a bad afternoon to start with that. Like,
tell us about it, mate. Yeah. I must have only been about 18 at the time as well, mate. 18, 19. And at half time, we went, right, we're going to move because it's not going well. We're going to go to a different bar, being superstitious and all that. We went to Pacific. We watched the second half in Pacific. Then obviously we got relegated. And that night just, mate, obviously, Bessie, you just said there, with those two lads, you know it's a recipe for disaster. And I remember being in Revolution and the last game round with the shots, like full big circle tray shots like this, full, right? And Kev was like, oh, how much? And she was like, oh, like 3 for like 10 hour or whatever it was. And Kev was like, no, like how much for that full tray? And she was like, oh, like 60 quid. He was right, I'll give you 50 quid. So I swear to God, the lass just got the tray of shots and just put it on my table. And we ended up in digital at like 2 o'clock in the morning, just drinking to the most we could do. And I didn't realise digital had it upstairs. You don't get signal on digital. So I was just wandering downstairs, covered in fog, because just smoke machines everywhere, trying to find them for a good half an hour. Couldn't find them. I started a walk home from Newcastle to Shields, and I got a Gateshead Stadium, and John Yemen drove past us in a taxi and saw us. And luckily, like, I jumped in. If it wasn't for him, it would have took us about 10 hours to get home. And that's, I don't know, it's a horrible moment that always sticks in my head.
So was that the worst you felt? Was that the morning after that of drinking that big drink shot?
I
just Kev and John are very, very animated and passionate Newcastle United fans. When we concede a goal, the kick off. Imagine what it's like when you get relegated. It wasn't, mate. It was absolutely hell on.
Yeah. I think for me, the relegation one is a one massive one that sticks in the mind.
The first one, Mark.
But there's other things that when we lost to Marseille, the first FA Cup final. That was that one we got beaten in that when we'd gone on really, really well, thrown away the league. Like we talked about the other week, losing to Blackburn and Liverpool and stuff like that. There's
Forest,
Benfica in the last couple of years.
Forest is kind of like Ian Warren the prick.
Yeah. So I think in recent years, it's probably that Benfica one where we could have made it all the way.
Adam, as always, he comes back to Cardiff away. So Adam was one of the unfortunate fans who went to Cardiff away where Kennedy missed that penalty
as well.
in the last kick of the game.
I still, on all the shit Bruce has given, that game is rivaled right up there. That is one, in my living memories, one of the worst games of football I've ever seen.
I listened. That was one of the games I couldn't get a stream. I couldn't get a video for it, so I listened to it on the radio. Unfortunately, but obviously we got the penalty, and oh yes, get in! Like we've nicked this one. Missed
that
it.
Was worse. Watford in the cup a year or two after. Horrible.
Yeah,
absolutely
was terrible.
Oh, that was shocking.
That was Nolan's first game as a Newcastle United fan. I took Nolan, and I swear to God, we're about 10 minutes in, he ate a full bag of minstrels, and he had the stinkiest farts I've ever heard. Like the smell of my life, like the worst. Like in the Melbourne, and like all he could smell was him. Like it smelled like the pitch smelled worse than his arse.
That Cardiff game I watched in the Ben Lomond in Jarrah. It was me mate John. It was his like the home leg of his kind of stag do. So I had a few beers in there, watched the game, and I was going to a barbecue in Bolton later that day, like at lunchtime. So I thought, right, plan is Ben Lomond, Metro, to Pilo, then back through to East Bolton and walk it. Job done. I got on the Metro, got as far as Hebburn, and I showered and all that, but I thought, that smell, yeah. I need to go to the shop, and I was bursting for a shite. I was bursting.
Hang on, Bessie, go back. You got as far as Hebburn. It's one stop.
Aye, that's what I'm saying. Pilo's 2 stops away between being in the Ben Lomond and Pilo, so it's 10 minutes. I thought, fuck, I'm ranky. I don't know what's happened, but something's gone wrong with me hygiene. I've got to have it.
This is like a recurring theme every week. Bestie tells us a story about when he stinks.
And
were you honking, Bestie?
Honking, kid. Honking, I was bursting for a shite. So I had to go to the off license at Pilo, get some deodorant, some Sure, which is still at the barbecue place now. And I had to nip in the Pilo in for a shite and had to get on my way. Like, and I spent the rest of the afternoon really self-conscious. So it was just a bad day all around. It was a nice barbecue, but the rest of it was like a write-off. It was a bad memory.
Right, I'm going to the toilet. Mark, take
Metro,
on flag question, mate.
Metro Marty will have recollections of how bad you can smell when you've got your sweats on, Bestie, after
Marty was,
getting on the Metro with you.
Marty was, as he always is, a perfect gentleman about the situation. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, why it happened, but I was thinking, Christ, is that me? And you don't want to get really like self-conscious about it. There was one. I was going on a night out from work, and I was walking down like my street in Jarrett. I was going towards a metro station, and it really kind of is that BO? And there was someone walking down the street about, I'd say, 20, 30 yards ahead of us. And surely I can't smell them. Surely that's what it is. So I went home, had a shower, complete change of clothes, went out that night, obviously pristine. Come back home, not Amy rang us when I was in the Three Balls in town, and she goes, there's the police are at a house over the road and they're just pulling loads of plants out of this house. So what I could smell was a cannabis farm over the road from mine. But to me, cannabis has got a little bit...
I came back and I just heard cannabis. Okay, what is going on?
But the moral of the story is it wasn't Bestie's pits, it was the triads across the road.
It was.
Bestie's pits smelled like onions, but across the road was a cannabis farm.
It was lock stock over the road from me. Like,
I can confirm it.
So Deka, Bestie bumped into Marty on the Metro, obviously, because Metro Marty, that's where he gets his name from. And Bestie basically smelled like the dead body.
Yeah, he was honking.
He smelled like an onion in a cannabis farm, apparently.
Yeah.
But that was it. Mint question by Rossington Bear there was which transfer rumour had you wished it came true? So, Wayne Rooney, yeah, that's who I was going to say as well.
Yeah, there was a recent video we would have
ruined him.
Oh, we'll ruin every fucker.
he wouldn't have been.
Also, I
anything.
think a bit of background on that because Rooney spoke about it, not so too distant ago, saying that there was an agreement in place. If he signed for Newcastle, we would then go and sell him to Man United the next season for whatever we paid for him. And Rooney's came out and said that on camera. There's a podcast I think he done saying it was all done. My transfer to Newcastle was sorted. And Man United came in, blah, 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 blah. But Newcastle said, right, if you sign for us, we'll let you go to Man United the next season as long as we get our money back for you, which it's basically a loan signing.
Essentially.
Really. Obviously with Everton out of the equation. But one for me, apart from Rooney, probably Modric. Because obviously he was linked with Keegan.
He wasn't the player that he then went on to become, though, was he? So
he wasn't. He wasn't. No,
he was useful. Though. He was useful.
Yeah, he was a good player. But again, it's the same kind of what you're saying with Rooney. Is had he have came, would he have reached the heights that he did then go on to? Because he would have been brilliant. Zidane is another one where we were linked with him. We had him over. Keegan spoke, at length of that. It was agreed for him to come. These players were absolutely huge. Berbatov was another one.
George Weah.
You look at what they call it. You look at if you listen to the Bobby Robson documentary, Pep Guardiola says he was literally
Guardiola wanted to come.
He was begging Robson to come to Newcastle, and he's like, nah.
Guardiola was only like 27, 28. It's not as if he was past it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he didn't. I
think Robson had an idea that he wouldn't like it over here. He just wouldn't like the cold weather, and Robson had an idea that he just wouldn't fancy it as much as he was wanting. He's begging to come, of course. Isn't it only though? We mentioned some names there, that fucking Zidane, Modric, Rooney, fucking Guardiola, and now we probably couldn't even get fucking. I don't know.
Try to get Rondon back.
Well, the closest one, and Adam mentions him here. I'll put on the stream there is Dele Alli.
Dele Alli, yeah.
He's probably the most recent one. He's well, I know you hate him, Deka, but If he was one of our players, he probably wouldn't.
He was the big young player at the time, wasn't he? When he was at Wimbledon.
He'd be like for me what
Get
Mark
on.
is for Shelby, if that makes any sense. What I've just said there.
Like Mark Cage, Shelby.
Yeah, that's what he'd be like for me. Yeah, can't even get a kick on that, shows he?
A few mentions for Ronaldo, not Cristiano, the other Ronaldo.
Oh, the original.
Fat Ronaldo.
Yeah,
The best.
The best Ronaldo.
The best.
He was sensational, him, mind.
Oh.
He was a
Do you know what it is,
wonderful
right?
footballer, him.
I think it's a generational thing. Like people now, let's say, in the last 20 years, will say, "Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo is the best." Blah 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 blah. If you go back and look at the old games that Fat Ronaldo played, oh my God, he's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Nobody comes close to him as a striker. Like,
well, I never actually chatted with Besty about because I was talking about strips a lot and stuff, but he's very much like me in the sense of like old football. Do you know what I mean? No offense to you, Stu, of course, I don't mean that, but like I know we've got Maradona. I know we've got Maradona and all the rest of us, of course, just legends, of course, George Best and that. But was R9 for you the first like that next level player? Like people talk about Messi now being in a bracket of his own. Did you think Ronaldo was? Because we had Del Piero's, you had Baggio's, there were so many good players.
You had a lot of Italian players, didn't you?
Yeah, a lot of Italian players.
Well, I was still around for the end of Maradona, but I hated him. I hated him because of I couldn't remember '86, but it was recent enough in people's memories.
Yes,
that whenever Argentina that thing against Greece in the World Cup and all that, like I really hated him, Maradona. It's only been more recently where I've kind of grown out of that because it was a really deep rooted thing. The country, like when I was a kid, and it was only a few years after the Falklands as well. And that kind of left its scars. Like, so Germany and Argentina, whenever they played, I got wrapped up in the tabloid thing and we've got to do this and the fucking boring wankers like going about the war all the time now. I was banging that when I was a kid. I was like, right, we've got to beat these because of this and that.
Yeah,
and
sadly, I'm when it comes to Germany, like, but sorry,
I've got loads of Germany shirts upstairs and also I love Germany. I'm a proper, not a Francophile, that's France. But whatever it is. Frankfurtophile. But for me, the first really big and after Maradona was probably Baggio. They had that little overlap in like the early 90s. And Baggio was like in the 1994 World Cups. I always go by World Cups because Baggio at club level was he never got the same heights really as he did with Italy. But he was just wonderful to watch. Like, so
Mr. Penn in '94, which was a shock almost. Yeah. In
'94, which was a huge thing. It's like Messi doing it now or Ronaldo doing it now. Or, I think we are better players than he was. But that was for me. He was the first really big. Like you'd buy the boots that he wore, or like I
did. I did Diodoras.
I didn't because of Beppe Signori. I got Diodoras. But R9
was something else. Like.
Yeah, he was. But he had the boots. He had the silver and blue and gold.
Had them.
What were they called again? Like Mercurials.
Can't remember. Mercurials. They had that like a luminous yellow R9 on the tongue.
It was what they called it. It was around about the time Nike was doing all those amazing adverts, wasn't it?
The airport and stuff.
And they've done the one with Cantona drops to the ball in the cage. That's like
the cage ones.
The silver Nike Scorpion.
I love the cage ones. Them were brilliant.
But I've got the Brazil shirt from that World Cup, and even now, like it's 22 years ago now, and I didn't want. But I wanted France. I've always quite liked France for some reason, so I wanted them to win the final. But Ronaldo and Brazil, it's like iconic. That's for me. That's one of the really big. It's such a strong image out of him in the yellow and green.
You've got the crossover as well, don't you, mate, with Brazil, where Ronaldinho was like pushing on and like you look at that team, and then you've got Carlos.
You go before that though, and Barcelona had Rivaldo and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they've always had like that big striker, Brazilian striker, as their number 9. Going,
well, we've got one now.
Yeah, you think the players that Robson had at Barcelona at the time were huge. I mean, like Van Basten, there's another one.
So I think if you speak to Robson, he says Romario was
incredible.
Just next level, like
incredible.
Hard to manage, but good.
Somebody sent a player in who I'm pretty sure you were adamant played for us at one point. So Aubameyang.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, you did think that, didn't you?
He did.
No, I didn't think. I thought he came. I thought he came on loan or something, like not on loan, like on a trial. He came on like for a trial.
Yeah, he played at Council Park once.
Football.
That counts, like.
Yeah, he played
for Togo against Heaton. Togo.
Not
something
Togo.
like that.
No, it's not Togo. It's someone will tell me who's Aubameyang played for. I'm sure it's not Togo, mate.
It was a little country, wasn't it? And he came in, and I just had in my mind, I could remember him being
Richard Keys.
Playing there. That it was like he came and he'd had a loan at Newcastle or something like that to try and get a position or something like that. But
I think something else that stands out for me as well. And I was watching Maradona, for example, the other day. I was watching a fantastic documentary about him, and we all talk about the hand of God. If you see what England were doing to him before that, I mean, they were absolutely kicking lumps out of him. And every game I watched back then. No, that's what I'm saying, though. What I'm trying to get at, sorry, is to be quick.
Gabon.
You imagine if Maradona
Just look it up.
Sorry, if Maradona played now, where you literally can't touch the opposition. Like, I just feel he might score 100 a game. Like, literally, because you can't get near him.
I mean,
which is why Messi looks so good, isn't it?
For all that was football then, I think it was the 1990 World Cup. There was something like 12 fouls on him in a game. Like the Cameroon game, the first game of the World Cup. Maradona was targeted. Like, I think he was in 82, 86, and 90. In each World Cup had the most fouls against him. And there was a little bit of the Jack Grealish about him, like where he'd hit a deck a bit easier at times, but he got a good showing. Like, there's about 50 people saying Gabon.
Yeah, Gabon.
When Joelinton and Gaza were getting interviewed on, I think it was this morning, the other day, obviously after his death, they talked about the fact that they all were told, whoever's next to Maradona, you make sure he doesn't get the ball, and if he gets it, you kick him and try and get him out of the game that way, because he was the best player in the world at that time, and when you can't contain him, you kick him.
It's on Channel 4 at the minute. It's called just Diego Maradona. You honestly have to watch it. It's just, I don't think you can understand the pressure that he was under when he moved to Napoli and things like that. Just the sheer pressure of the media and everything. It's an amazing documentary to watch. It really is.
To be honest, lads, I was going to try and keep a tight ship on this one and finish 60 minutes, but we've been going for an hour and 26. So,
almost
an hour and a half. So I'll keep it going for another 10 minutes. So if anybody wants to send some questions, we'll go for another 10 minutes.
I thought of another player that I wish we had have signed that we were linked with for ages and ages. Giroud.
Yeah, we still get linked to him now.
Yeah, he was something else. Like,
to be honest, another player who I know now he's not very good, but at the time, Lacazette was one that was always mentioned.
Another one,
and I absolutely would have took him. Not necessarily now I would take, but of course I probably would. But I mean, like, certainly back when we were first linked,
Yeah. I think Baggio, though, when one of them, either Shearer or Ferdinand, signed, there was a car spotter with a Newcastle shirt with Baggio printed up on the back, or Baggio, and I was like, that
Keegan tried, didn't he? Keegan tried, didn't he, to sign him?
Yeah.
Oh no, so I apologise. Del Piero, sorry. Sorry, apologise. Yeah. It was Del Piero, wasn't it?
Del Piero.
I'd heard the Baggio one as well. Like,
yeah, I know Keegan tried to sign Del Piero. But that was the ambition. That was the ambition Keegan has, wasn't it? Like, Keegan had that ambition of, what might be, little Newcastle, but we want Del Piero. Yeah. Like, he was literally, that was just the ambition he had,
I remember when he played for Juventus at St James's Park, he was applauded off the pitch. He was that good. There's a couple of players that got it. Cliver, I think, springs to mind as well, where it was the same
game that sticks in my mind a lot was Totti, because Totti's always been one of my favourite players. I dragged my dad up UEFA Cup. I dragged my dad up like 2 hours before kick-off. I need to see the bus come in. I need to see him get off the bus, and he was just fantastic. Just had a bit like a Cantona aura of like. And Zidane's the same way. No matter how fast-paced the game is, when he gets it, he's got all the time in the world. Yeah. It's such a gift to have that, where the game's all hustle and bustle, but when these really, really top players get the ball, it just seems to have got all the time in the world. It's an amazing gift, that.
Right, so somebody sent in that. I knew this
50-50.
I knew it.
It wasn't 50-50, I may add.
Yeah, so the Adidas yellow shirt pull from the 2009-2010 championship winning season. We'll put it obviously on I'm not sure if anybody's watched it, but the Battle of the Kids video, which we done it caused a lot of debate between probably me and Besty against Mark and Deka at one point, but then Deka started to sway a little bit that he was going to buy it. The Phil kid.
I want to ask you something when you finish. So I'm going to ask you a question.
And Mark still adamant that he hates that shit.
It just shows you how massively it splits the fan base, doesn't it?
We'll put a poll on. we'll put a poll on just to see if we could get like some sort of opinion on it in
Definitive
regards to
answer.
something. Yeah, definitive answer on it, really. And it's ended up, if you look at the stats, it says 50-50, but if you look into it deeper, I think it's like 49.7%.
It's 49.6 to 50.4 in favour of it being rotten.
Close.
It's inconclusive, that, like. I think
It's on marginal. It's enough. It was enough for Brexit. It's enough for it to be voted as in the bin.
I think what we've done with the Battle of the Kids thing, and we'll mention this before, we've literally priced ourselves out of the market on eBay. So there was a question sent in earlier saying who spent the most time on eBay over the last week.
Chris, 100%.
Me.
Yeah, you've got a few of them. I've got one that I'm really pleased I've got, but I haven't gotten many others. But I've got the one I wanted.
Yeah, so Adam's looked at it and he said that the stats came in at 50.4% said bin it and 49.6% said classic. Look how close that is, man. Look how close that is.
No, it's official. Bin.
But, Mark, I bet you're surprised at those stats. I bet you are, because when that kit first came out, it was shit, horrendous, the worst kit we've ever had. Look at that now.
Yeah.
I think we might have talked. Did you say that at the time, though?
Hate it?
Bessie probably didn't. But did you, Bessie, or did you like it straight away?
I went and got the long sleeve one because I wanted more of it.
Oh, straight away, right. It's I wasn't sure, because just what I was going to say, Chris, was I sat with my thumb voting for a long time, hovering to think of what I should go for, and I went for Bennett. I went for Bennett.
Yes, Deka,
I did.
get in.
And I'm just thinking that it's very close. I think
you might have done that.
Yeah, because I was. Well, you're right in what you say. I said it was awful. Then by the end of the podcast, I was like, it's on the list, and I've been bidding on it. And then when the question came out on my phone, when the question came out on my phone, I went, "Is it?" I'll tell you what it is. Truthfully, I was going to text you to say we need another line in there because you had classic. Is it a classic or Bennett? And it ain't a classic. Like it's not a classic. Like that's why I said Bennett.
I disagree, mate. I think it's.
I need like one in the middle.
That season.
Is it canny?
I think it's a classic because of that season.
Acceptable.
No, but then, like, obviously, when we did the home version, every single one of us, without fail, said that was an absolutely beautiful, beautiful strip, and the kit itself is exactly the same. Bar the colours, the template and the stripes, everything is the same between all three of them. We're obviously got the third one to do, but the third one again was exactly the same. So
fucking lazy, isn't it? Really,
it is, but like. If the third strip from that season had been the away one, then I would have been fully on board with it because I like that one much better than the yellow version. Yeah. Spoiler alert for when we do get around to doing the third kits, that I'll be voting that one.
I'm not sure if you noticed this, but there was a photo put on where we wore I think we lost the game, but we wore the yellow shirt, yellow socks, black shorts, and it made
look
the
like a
look 10
pre-season
times
friendly.
better.
That was
some young players, isn't it?
Orient, was it?
That was a 6-1.
So we definitely lost that game then.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you mentioned black shorts there. And I don't know why this has just sprung in my head, but I'll say it anyway. The one that I think we all love is the our classic is UEFA Cup Clivert era, the goldy, yellowy Northern Rock one. It's like
amazing, mate. I love it.
But we used to play in black shorts for that as well, and that was a beautiful strip.
Lovely shirt, lovely
black
shirt.
Shorts
but it's got a weird thing
here.
here. It's got a weird thing that goes down there, then down the middle.
Yeah. Aye. It reminds a Clivert straight away for me, UEFA Cup days, but the black shorts really made it for me.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to go through a couple more questions. Mark Scott, who signed up tonight to be a member, says favourite all-time kit excluding Newcastle ones. I know mine. Mine is the England one that's got the red and the blue under here.
Yeah, 98.
Yeah, and it's got like subtle stripes France, all the way down. Lovely shirt, that. And I'm not a massive fan of international football. I don't tune in. If the England game's on, it's on the telly, but I'm not. Obviously, in the last 10, 15 years, I've lost interest in it. But that shirt, I just love it. I absolutely love it.
Oh, it's a hard one, this for me. Like
favourite all-time kit.
Oh, it's a really hard one, this one.
I've got millions.
The same.
You got to pick one. I reckon Bessie's going to go for an Italian one.
I'll tell you what, Italian strips. Inter Milan's strip this season is lovely.
The Juventus kits are always lush as well. Like the Kappa ones, the old school Kappa ones.
Yeah.
Last season's wasn't because it was half and half with a red line down the middle. It wasn't
Yeah,
a
it was.
that one.
Like Watford.
I don't want to go on a rant too much
But you're
about
gonna.
this team. Of just how much I can't tell you how much I love this team. Was the Lazio era on Sven? I just can't explain to you how much I adored that team. I used to watch every single game they had. I don't know how it'll come across in here, but this has to be probably. It'll not be. It's not an amazing shirt. This one here. I don't know if you can see it very well.
Nah, can't really see it.
Another one like
it's
that.
It was just beautiful. Beautiful. Just meant so much to us back in the day. Like Varane, man. Oh my God, Varane. That team they had, man. Fucking hell.
You got a Mark?
France 98, by the way, as well.
Do you know what it is,
Christ.
though? When you think of classic kids, for some reason, like my mind always goes to the Italian leagues, and it always goes to like the sort of AC, Inter Milan, even though it's just stripes. It always goes to those sort of teams.
I really liked. Remember I think it was the Dutch one, but I think the Germany one was very much the same, where it had like kind of the it was like the
Band across the middle.
Koeman and Rijkaard and stuff like that, where it had like almost like they weren't diamonds, but it was like
Another one.
kind of like
Besty,
I don't know, like zigzag kind of things like that.
I know what you
was
mean,
really,
yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, it was the Dutch one
Kind
from
of like things like Dutch one about 80, 88, something like 88,
the
90.
Dutch had it in 88, and it was the Germany away kit. Obviously,
Germany away.
in
Yeah,
1990. They wore it in the semi against us. England, I didn't play.
That template was nice. I like those.
Can I just ask, lads? Right, has anybody got anywhere to go in the next 20 minutes?
I'm going to a restaurant in 10 minutes, so if you could mind hurrying
I'm
up.
just thinking if your lass is putting the kettle or the microwave on, mate. No. We'll just keep
2
on
years
going.
ago, Nigeria.
We'll just keep on going because the watches are going up and up, so we'll keep on going for a few more minutes.
The World Cup, Mark.
That Nigeria one was lovely. In fact, both of them had the home and the away one, wasn't it? With all
Nigeria won a couple of years ago.
the wild patterns. Yeah, that's the one I mean.
Is that the one you mean?
About 2018,
last World
something
Cup had some. Yeah, 2018. That last World Cup had some phenomenal kits. Like
Ghana had a fantastic one as well. A black one. Ghana's was lush.
Cameroons are always very nice.
The African Cup of Nations Puma shirts are unbelievable. They always have been. They're fantastic. Absolutely amazing because I put so much effort into them.
I bought a couple of years ago. I got an Ivory Coast one and the Cameroon one. They're the same template, but they've got like a bar across the shoulders and a floppy collar, and they're really, really nice, lovely shirts. My favourite though, oh god, it's so hard to think of one. Like
I like the again. I'm thinking like retro kits, and I know, like Arsenal's the one that they had last season. Was a copy of like a one that they had back maybe beginning of the 90s.
Yeah, it was
like
the bruised banana kit.
That was really nice, and the same sort of era, the Liverpool candy one with like the iron prints, like where it looked like they burned it with the iron. There was the Man United one was the blue, which was very similar to the Germany and Holland one as well, with the blue and white.
Joe Patterson sends in, do you think a strike partnership with Wilson? Oh, sorry, Bessie, I didn't even get you on, mate.
I've not thought one yet. I'll come back.
There's too many, isn't it? There's loads and loads.
Joe Patterson says, do you think a strike partnership with
Wilson
I've
said the Lazio one there, that's probably not my favourite.
All right. Sorry, mate. Are you back, are you? You're like Steve Bruce there. I'm asking a question, you're answering a different one halfway through.
No, sorry, that was delayed for me. That wasn't my fault. That was delayed.
So, Joe Patterson says...
I'll tell you what, Paris Saint-Germain have had some nice...
So, he says, do you think a strike partnership with Wilson and Joe should be used in more games? So, if you remember right, before we even...
shirt was it?
Piss off. Before we even kicked the ball on Friday night, I said, we've seen Joe and Wilson link up well for the tiny moments that we've seen them both on the pitch at the same time. And probably the last 10 minutes of the game we saw it. There's a partnership in there. I've got no doubt about it. There is. It just means that we've got to give it time, and Bruce has got to give it time, and fans have to. More importantly, fans have got to give it time.
Well, I said in the Burnley game, they played. It's not the strongest of opposition to judge them against, but I did say Burnley at home. I thought that the pair of them played fantastic, leading from the front. Both of them were really, really good. The issue we've got is I'm not disagreeing with you saying we need to give them more time. I'm just unsure that means we'll have to play 4-4-2 all the time. And that means he's going to start Hendrick on the right wing most of the time.
But maybe we can play 4-4-2 without Hendrick on the right-hand side.
But Bruce won't, though. I agree you can, but Bruce won't.
True.
And I would love to see play in certain games play 4-2-4. Right. Play 4-2-4. Have two holding midfielders, and you play, as you say, Fraser, perhaps Miggy on the right, who can still tuck in, Saint on the left, and Joelinton and Wilson up front could be pretty special.
Yeah. Right. So another question. Rossington Bear says a battle of the goals at some point. We've done battle of the kits. We've done 2 episodes. We're going to be doing 4. Get more people involved. Battle of the goals could be a tricky one. I would love to do it, but it's quite hard when we can't show the goals. It's really, really hard when we can't show the goals. But
show a picture of it, maybe, like of the shot or something, or the celebration, or
no, mate. You could show a photo. You could show a photo of the celebration, but any sort of moving footage, you could possibly do a reaction to it.
Try and recreate
into it. Try and
I did talk about that, didn't we?
Definitely do that.
I'm going to try and recreate them. Battle of the goals is going to be difficult. I would love to do it. I really would. The only other thing which you could do is probably try and do like a little sneaky Zoom thing where we get all the members involved, where they can join the Zoom party with us. Then it won't go live on YouTube, but we can show the footage in there, then discuss the goals and stuff like that. That could be done. Yeah. Just for a bit of interaction for everybody, but showing the footage on YouTube, it's a very grey area. Yeah, which could literally wipe us off, like completely wipe us out. Oh, there's
the Kettle's gone.
There's a Kettle. Back into your mix.
Sorry, she's batting again.
How much bloody tea is she drinking tonight?
She's not very well, bless her. She's not very well.
The Kettle'll still be hot off the last one, man. So yeah, I would love to do that one. I would love to do about the goals. Of course, I would.
We've got, depending on how far you go back, we could be there for at least 10 hours.
I bet your soul is involved in every single one of them.
The kids. I remember that one again. Shearer's record breaking.
But the thing is you've got goals that are are important for different reasons, because there's the story behind it, like with Jonas's against West Ham that we were talking about before. You've got the great goals like Shearer's against Villa and Everton. You've got important ones like David Kelly saving we're from relegation and stuff like that. So there's although it wasn't a particularly good goal to look at it, it's very, very important and special in the grand scheme of things. So
it would
be tough, that one, wouldn't it?
Organised outdoor sports is allowed now, right? So I think he's hinting at us recreating some of the best ever goals in the classic goals.
I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that.
It can be done. It definitely can be done.
Definitely.
We've got links to the facilities and stuff like that, so we could 100% do it. If I can fit in Newcastle, it's a different question.
I don't know if it can in Tier 3, can it?
Yeah, it can. That's it tomorrow. Yeah, it can. I watched Boris make a fool of himself today.
Well, lads, we've got an hour and 19 minutes, and I'll meet you all in the park. Bring your ring lights.
Just them gloves off, Besty.
6 people can meet in the park. So.
Right, so
Besty's still thinking of the shirt. Besty's still thinking of the shirt, isn't he?
Ben asks, can we get some real life footy challenge videos? Ben, if you've got any suggestions, send them our way. We're happy to try our hardest at doing more things.
Ben, did you see the state of our toilet roll keepy uppy video that we had to do?
God,
amazing. Besty's toilet roll ended up in his neighbour's garden.
Yeah, he still hasn't got that back from his neighbour.
Stu says, who had the hardest shot in the Premier League history? We could probably find that out because...
Oh, did they not do a thing on Soccer AM or something like that, where the fastest and the hardest?
Obafemi Someone against Spurs was up there.
Was Tony Yeboah, maybe?
It's funny, the first one was Tony Yeboah, that came to my mind.
Yeah, that rings
Thomas
a bell.
Hitzelsberger, in my mind, because he could beat an off, strike a ball.
Villa.
John Arisa, he couldn't off it one.
He brought out his head, didn't he? A free kick.
Did he really?
Aye.
I didn't know that. Bloody hell. I always remember the goal he scored against he couldn't off it, but the goal against Man United, remember, it was a screamer. Barthez was in goal. Christ almighty, that was unbelievable.
And then one's Letizia scored against us again, what would have been.
They weren't necessarily screamers in terms of power, but they were very, very good goals. Though.
There was one where he absolutely hoofed it.
Joelinton.
Jeff Hendrick. Or Joelinton. Aye. Yeah.
Martin's against Spurs was definitely up there.
That was yeah.
It was like 70. I want to say about 70 odd miles an hour, like early 70s.
Shearer's volley against Everton anniversary today. That was an absolute screamer. That was travelling.
Do you know who else was up there?
His Villa one was probably harder.
What's his Arsenal faces against us? Magnum. Richardson, free kick.
No.
Yeah, but the wind was behind that one. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah, that was a good
His was
strike.
up there.
I went and bought a 55-inch telly after that. As soon as the goal went in, I never forget that. I was at work at the time. I was working in Sunderland as well when Richardson scored. I went, right, fuck it, I'm going to buy a telly. And I went to Curry's on the corner and bought a telly. Just to cheer us up, really.
So, Blue Moon Boy in 1956 is Gallagher Shot's football golf competition. Can be
I've
arranged.
played that before. It's good crack.
Football
golf, yeah.
It's got crack, the guy.
Yeah,
I'm
20%.
game
Do it as well.
We could, what do you call it? We could invite other people, could invite members and stuff when we're allowed. Obviously, we're
only
seeing
6
this
in the
right
park
now.
at once.
Yeah, seeing this right now. Anything else? Ben Hunter says, let's have a look. What's that one? Battle of the Gallagher Shots team partners. I don't even know what that means. If I'm being honest.
I'm assuming it means like the wives. I mean, my wife's 6'2", prison officer.
Team partners. Horrible idea. Ignore me, lads.
Oh, we'll move
What
on.
they're going to do? Have like a Royal Rumble?
So Lauren Robert, yeah, it's a shot.
I don't know if that was a shot though. Was it? It was more of a clearance when he wiped out Bernard.
Christ, I.
Well, the official answer, because I've googled it, was David Hurst.
Really?
Yeah,
Jeff Wednesday.
David Hurst. Yeah.
Was that? No, that wasn't it?
114 mile. Jesus, 114 mile an hour against Arsenal in 1996.
114 miles an hour.
Mile an hour.
What the fuck did he hit it with? A train.
Wow.
Beckham hit 97.9 mile an hour for Man United against Chelsea.
How much?
Really?
97.9.
Yeah, but you're going to a whole different ballpark when you're hitting over 100.
114 mile an hour. That must have been with the wind behind it, surely.
So what could get another faster?
Shearer is in the list. So Shearer, and it's against Leicester in 1997.
It's a free kick.
One of his hat-trick.
So, and Martins, who were mentioned, actually was slower at 84. Letitia is in there, Southampton versus Newcastle.
What was Martin's? Did you find out?
Obafemi Martins was 84 mile an hour. Yeah.
That's an absolute rocket of a strike, that, though. Like, the fact it's not even a free kick and that's just literally laces.
Tony Boa's not even in that list. I'm really surprised at that.
The one against Wimbledon.
He just used to absolutely leather the ball, didn't he?
I think his best goal was against Liverpool, but the goal against Wimbledon was absolute pace. Like it didn't half hit it.
Yep.
Right, so lads, I'm ready to call it night. There's a few more sent in.
It's Tuesday night.
But yeah, Tuesday night, we'll call it that night. But well, what time is it now? It's 10 or 11. 10 or 11.
Let's go 11 o'clock. Let's go 11 o'clock.
Shall we go to 11?
Go 11 o'clock, yeah.
Right, if
we're like
if one more
gremlins
person, right, becomes a member in the next 3 minutes, right, we'll go to 11 o'clock.
All right.
Right, so they've got a 51, 22,
I've
51.
had to plug my charger in and everything.
Right, so if we get a member notification before 22:51, we'll go for another 9 minutes. Right?
And that person gets to ask her a question.
And that person
any
gets
question. No holds
any
barred.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, no holds barred, yeah.
So we'll just sit here in silence until...
Yeah, we're not going anywhere until somebody signs up. Besty's still trying to think of his favourite kit.
Are you drinking tonight? I meant to ask you, are you drinking tonight?
Everybody wants to see a garlic bread special mukbang. That's Neil GR, isn't it? Starting that one off.
Yeah.
When it all gets stuck in.
Mukbang, what's that?
Just where you... It's where you record yourself eating a garlic bread special. Who was the member? Who was it?
It is David Sharp. So David Sharp, if you've got a question, send in, mate.
Well done,
thanks for signing up. If you've got a question, send it in because yours is getting answered.
Can I have the PIN number to Deka's OnlyFans account? What?
If we get another one, Deka will take his shirt off.
Oh, God. Deka still hasn't. Remember when he promised to do the podcast naked?
It had to be 5-0, I think. 5
Yeah,
minutes.
because it's never happened.
He changed he moved the goalposts every week, didn't he? With that one.
Yeah. Right, while waiting for David's, let's have a look. There's one sent in saying from Callum Lewis, should Newcastle bring in Jack Wilshere?
You can keep Andy Carroll happy on the sideline and the treatment bench.
But then we'll always say that we'll miss that creativity. When he is fit, he could bring that to the team.
He's a clever player, like, isn't he? It's just that big question of keeping him.
It's that number 10 role.
The
It's that
pitch,
number
innit?
10 role, that attack midfielder role. And
I just look at no teams took a gamble on him, have they? Not one team.
Yeah, no one. Free.
And is this? I mean, his quality. He's a very, very good player, but his fitness, man, is just a worry.
So David Sharp
Could we not
sent a
have
question.
take him on one of the pays you
Same
play
as Carroll.
things, like same as Carroll?
I don't know if he's too self-proud or that's the wrong word, I think, but like, you know what I mean, like
He's
self-righteous to
self-conscious.
think. Yeah.
He's not an old lad. He the player of his age. I mean, he's meant to be in his peak now. Injuries have completely crippled him. Totally.
He was a great player, wasn't he? He was a great player.
Really good player.
Let's go for David's question. So that's when you remember who's kept us going till 11 o'clock tonight. So we've got 9 minutes to go. David says, "What's your thought on Gale and Wilson as a front two?" I think right now it'll be very hard and very, very harsh to drop Joelinton, especially that performance alongside Wilson. Very, very harsh. But I've always said from the start, I'm not Gale's biggest fan, but he's a decent footballer. Of course he is. And I don't know.
I would
I
love
think,
to see Gale with a strike partner.
Would you?
I said it in the championship year with Mitrovic. I would have loved to have seen Mitrovic and Gale get more of a run, especially when we're playing some of the absolute dross at home in that
Especially when
championship.
you look at that Norwich game, mate.
I mean,
Those two look great in that Norwich
Well,
game.
do you know what was funny was, because I always remember my dad whacked us when it happened. Not punishes, but he like when you said that. Do you know when Gale scored and he did the up and down, and then it was in that game where Barnsley, he put Mitrovic and Gale up front, and within 10 seconds, literally, Mitrovic had it down, Gale scored, and I was like, there you go. Like when you're playing Barnsleys and Bristols and these type of teams at home, Rotherhams, go two up front. I couldn't quite understand why.
I think the Norwich game, was it not? Did Mitrovic not get brought on as a sub?
When we came back from 3-1, we won 4-3. He might have,
I'm sure he came as a sub in the last 15-20 minutes, and he changed the game when he came on as a sub, and obviously that's when Gale and Mitrovic started working fantastic at that.
I think Gale with a strike partner. Gale with a strike partner. I'm not saying he's the answer to everyone's praise here, but Gale with a strike, because we've played him up front on his own for a long period of time, right? Pretty much all the time. You know.
I think if you bring Gale in and Wilson, you're going to have to change the dynamics of their play, because they are both more of those kind of goal poaching striker instincts, and you couldn't see you would probably have to put Gale as the one that's that little bit further forward, and use Wilson as the kind of the link,
like a hold-up player.
And I don't.
Which he's very good at. I must admit, Wilson's. I'm surprised how good he is at that. Actually,
he is to kind of when if it's into him and stuff like that. But I don't know, like whether he's got that all around strength to kind of be in there. It would be an interesting one to see. I don't know whether that maybe get on each other's toes, because they'd both be wanting to get into similar positions and wanting to find themselves like in the box, rather than somebody being that little bit deeper in linking.
It's a shout, like Mark, because it is a shout, because neither of those players likes to really drift out wide massively, and they like to run towards goal. And obviously with Joelinton, you can see him like moving across either side of the pitch, and it's a shout, to be fair. Ben Hunter sends in Deka. Does your dad still hate the podcast?
No, I think he's he's all right. He just didn't like the bad language, and he didn't like. That was a few of the things he didn't like. Certainly in the early days, when we were a little bit more less professional. He used to think
himself.
Mate, I've got my laptop sitting on a pair step ladders at the minute.
You see that with I've got a lovely stand for mine, like, but anyway, I used to say we used to prattle on and swear too much and what have you. But sorry,
Deka Senior.
That's why I don't think he's ever listened. You put one on it. I think it was me going about Tory twats or something, or no, it wasn't Tory twats. Sorry, I've just got them on the brain. Sorry, I just watched the whole House of Commons thing today, and it still got us annoyed. It was about Bruce being one of our own, and you put little bit of a snippet of it on Twitter type of thing.
Yeah, and you said you Cockney twat, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I thought it was
where's your Cockney argument now, you twat?
Yeah,
you said.
And I thought my dad won't like that if he sees that because he doesn't like a swearing like that.
Well, Deka,
so
you were right.
I'm 30,
you were right, mate.
I was right, but I mean, you don't have to swear all the time, do you? My dad doesn't like swearing that much. Even though I've heard him say many things when I'm in a match, like.
I really like remember when Arsenal won the league in '89?
That's a lovely one.
Was that not
That's
the one
a
I was
lovely
talking
one.
about?
The yellow with the black sleeves. Michael, that's
The home one was really nice.
There, like.
The home one was really nice as well, wasn't it?
I thought you were going to say the home one. I thought you were going to say
the away one.
That was the one that
they
did last season. Was the kind of a replica of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
They've done a couple. I've because I'm a sad bastard. I've got a couple of Arsenal shirts that have kind of been a variation on that. That
You've got some Arsenal shirts.
3, I think.
Wow.
I've thought of a one that I really liked, and it was just because of this player. And I've admitted to this before that I loved them as much as it pains.
John Joe Shelby.
No, absolutely not. It was a Man United shirt, all because of Eric Cantona. It was the one with the and actually Bruce wore it at the time. The one with the lace on the neck. That was that was a.
I tell you which one I did love. Was the blue and white one of Man United, which had the players' names. Had like That was a beautiful shirt. That one as well.
Was it Sharp? That was on the front of that one.
Yeah,
it was Sharp Viewcam. It was Viewcam Sharp
The
Viewcam.
black one that Cantona wore as well.
Oh, yeah, that one gorgeous. Yeah.
The one.
That is a lovely shirt. That
yeah, it's lovely.
Lovely shirt.
I think it's just the Cantona connection for me. Why I think some of them shirts are nicer, because I absolutely thought he was incredible until he scored that goal at the Gallagher end. Then I hated him.
Signed up for the membership have started using our new Steve Bruce emoji. I'm not sure if you will be able to see it at the minute, but it's going down an absolute treat.
The best bit is whenever anybody clicks on this, they don't realise, but in our ears we get "How's the bacon? Did you say?" claim, so that we know it's getting used.
Every time you put that emoji on there, it just goes, "How's the bacon? Did you say?" Just wait till you get the Craig Hope one. I'll tell you that.
Wait until you get the Besty chicken nugget one.
We've only got 3 minutes. I just wanted to. I didn't ask you it all the day what you thought of the game being cancelled.
We've only got 3 minutes until somebody else signs up.
We were meant to talk about that today.
What's your thoughts on the game being cancelled?
I was very surprised. I was very surprised
that it was called off. I thought the Premier League were just going to, you'll find 14 players.
Especially when they put that statement out.
How much the Premier League are all corrupt and they hate Newcastle and have that Liverpool and Tottenham, all that shit. I think it's the first time that it's the first time the Premier League's really been tested, I think, with regards to COVID. Like, there's not really been a situation where, because it was meant to be if you've got 14 fifth players across the club, wasn't it? Like, if you've got goalkeepers and whatnot. So it's the first time that anyone's really said, look, we're in trouble here. And I think it's the right thing to do. Only problem I have with it is I've got 3 Villa players in my fantasy league that I'm going to have to address by the weekend. Like, so free hit this weekend, I think.
Yeah, it's a correct.
I was very surprised it happened based on that statement around the 14 players. But no other team has been in this situation, and I was saying today that we've handled the COVID situation quite well as a club, because we haven't had any cases up until this point, and then all of a sudden it just seems like everything's came at once, and we've got what started as 2 or 3 players has now gone to 6 or 7 or 8 if Bruce is getting interviewed about it, maybe. So
Ben Hunter has just said that my arm camouflages with the wall. That's a shout to be fair.
Was it Ben who asked who our favourite music artist was? I've just had a quick look on YouTube there for the Bruce crack.
Yeah, there was something about music artists, mate. Do you want to give your favourite music artist, mate?
Again, mine changes all the time.
We've had another we've had somebody else sign up, so that's another 5 minutes in the bank. It's another 5 minutes. So thank you, Charlie McIntyre. Thanks for signing up,
Charlie.
You've just gained another 5 minutes.
Charlie gets to ask her a question.
Deka.
Yes, mate.
We're going for another 5 minutes because somebody else has just signed up.
Another member, Charlie's signed up.
Yeah, man. I'm here. I've got 15 bottles to go through. I'm off tomorrow. I'll stay as long as you want.
I've only got 7% on my iPad though, and I've got any way to charge it now as well because I'm using the headphones.
Oh yeah.
I'll take the banter school them all, like, and I've got. So
My taste in music is massively eclectic. Like I'm all over the place. Like depending on me mood and the.
Here's the question about music then. So, Mark, could you go? Because I could. Could you go from, say, opera or classical music to AC/DC to
Yeah.
R&B? Yeah, that's what I'm like. I could go through any.
There's not much I don't like. The only thing I draw the line at like proper heavy, screechy.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Like-
yeah.
like
See,
that
I'm
That's
very
all I
much.
got, Richie.
My favorite band's Dire Straits. So it'd be the Dire Straits, the Eagles, Bruce Springsteen. That's kind of
Very easy.
like if I'm going to
middle of the
put
road.
something on. Yeah, Eric Clapton. That's where I would be. But
Right,
but I
so
could
I'll
be
put
on
the
a night
question
out though, and listen to like.
I'll put a
50
question
Cent.
out, right? Because I think probably all of have probably got a wide range of artists and music which we like. The same as you. You put my phone on shuffle, you'll get all sorts on that one. But if you've got to pick one artist or group that you would have to listen to, as let's say it's you're on death row, so you have your final supper, your final meal.
Oh, you do
Regularly.
Desert Island Discs here.
Yeah. So if you get one artist you're gonna listen to on that final day, obviously it doesn't have to be one song, but one artist, like some back catalogue and stuff like that. Who are you choosing? We'll start with you, Mark.
Queen.
Shout.
Queen.
I'm gonna go Elvis.
Oh, I love Elvis.
man.
Absolutely love Elvis.
Deka?
Been to Graceland 3 times. Love him so much. Mark Knopfler for me.
Bestie, you're struggling. Yeah, I mean it's like the shirts all over again.
We shirts all over again. This, all I can go by is what I listen to the most. I listen to the Cribs more than anything else. So even though
Oops.
it's not the most there, I don't think they're quite in the same the Elvis or the Queen Hall of Fame like or the Mark Knopfler, but that's what I listen to. So yeah,
I thought you were going to go
I love the
Aqua.
Manics.
Manics, I love the Manics. Stereophonics
Aqua.
as well. I absolutely love Stereophonics. If I had to listen to
The
one
Manics
album,
are like,
one album would be definitely maybe.
that's a shout. They're Oasis as well. For me, the Manics, though, that like the first album was nearly 30 years ago, and they're still putting good albums out now.
Yeah.
And there's not many bands over that length of time. There's no one does that really.
That's true.
I'm just glad no one said AC/DC.
No, somebody did.
Oh no, I did. I only said DC just
I love a bit
because
of Back in Black.
I was trying.
There you go. Daniel
yeah,
Vanderbilt said
Daniel
AC/DC.
I kind of. It's not my cup of tea. I'll just say that. I don't want
Is there no song that they've done that you like, Bessie? They doing Highway to Hell, or as you say, Back in
Well,
Black?
I had at least three.
Do
or
you not
four
even like
songs
tap
I
your
liked.
foot with it? Like tap your foot and go, that's alright.
Well, if you like one AC/DC song, you like them all, don't you? That's the thing.
No, that's true, but you could say that a lot about country music. A lot of people criticise country music because it all sounds the same, but like
Mate, I love country music.
I do as well.
Love
I
it.
do as well. Yeah, I do.
The Who.
I
That's
like-
they're the way we have one that I like. I like the Who.
I'm
The
not
Who
really a fan of the Who.
The Who were good, but like apart from the one bloke who actually no can't say that because that's libel. If Pete Townsend never did get around to writing that book, did he?
No, legend Pete Townsend.
Well,
Less said about that, the
Don't-
better.
Right,
We're
so
still
moving-
live. This could be recorded.
No, but I mean, in terms of his guitar and that's what I'm trying to say. And the
Moving
Eagles,
on.
the Eagles for me, in terms of an overall band, or almost unbeatable for me.
steer clear of Pete Townsend's laptop if you don't want to look at that.
Allegedly.
Chuck it in the
Allegedly.
river.
Oh, no,
Allegedly.
I didn't see what was on there.
So
Maybe where
RL90 says-
Epstein's lap is the top.
RL90 says, see how I'm moving on. Right? So RL90
Seamless.
says, yous definitely need initiations for the Gallagher Shot team. Adam follows this up. We're saying we actually do in real life, though, not safe for YouTube, unfortunately. So, yes.
Remember that
So
day
people-
in NE1, the
Yeah,
NE1 bar.
NE4, mate.
NE4 was it?
So people who join us for a night out, there is an initiation, and we're not going to mention it. We're not going to mention one part of the initiation. But if you don't do it, then you've basically got to stand on a chair in the middle of a pub or on the table and sing Mambo number 5. So that's a forfeit. But we're not going to tell you what the other thing is until you join us on a night out. So yeah, there is an
There's a
initiation.
couple of people that are in the chat that have joined us for a beverage or two, so they can testify to it being a pleasant evening. So.
Mate, do you know what it is, right? And I know I will say this, but some of the best nights that we have, and I would probably say about 75% the games, the home games that we go to, went about on the piss on the night out, and there's loads of people that have joined with and said, "Oh, can I tag along with you?" And it's an absolutely fantastic night, isn't it? It's absolutely great some of the nights.
Well, we think so. I don't know if they agree. Like,
well, but
You remember that lad? It was his 18th birthday, I think it was. We beat Man United. Keith Gillespie was out in that, and Lee Clark in that. And then we met this lad.
Look, dropping names all on the night out. We've got Keith Gillespie and Beresford.
No, it was Beresford, was it?
It was
Lee Clark, wasn't it?
It was Clark, Beresford, and Gillespie.
It was the three of them. Yeah. But then we went to the other place, and then that lad.
There as well, or have I made that up?
No, you totally made that up. You were wanking about him.
That must be a different time.
He was like, do you mind if I tag along with it? It's my 18th birthday, more buying him a drink and that. And he was like, this has been the best birthday I could ever ask for. And that. And I was like,
we met Marty in the Strawberry that night as well, when Gillespie and that were there.
Yeah.
God, he was mortal. Was it Clarky? Was fucked, wasn't he, Clarky?
I thought you meant Marty there for a minute.
No, Marty, Clarky. Lee Clark was.
Clark had only done a podcast with us, I would probably say about 6 months before.
Not
and I was like, Lee? I was like, how are we doing? Didn't have a clue who we were. I was like, you literally done a podcast with us, like not so long ago. And he's like, all right, do you want a photo?
I don't even think he knew. I don't even think he knew his own name. He was fucked that night, like really fucked.
Do you want a photo? I was like, I've got like a 2-hour long podcast. Do you want a photo?
But we're just normal lads that go out and have a beer after the match. So it's always nice when people come up and talk to me. Thomas, get in there, Thomas, lad.
Do you know what's really funny? Actually, I've had quite a bit, like, 6
Thomas.
or something.
Thomas gets to come for a pint with me.
I went for a piss before,
he's over 18,
and I pissed all over the seat. And I was thinking, no, listen. I'll get to the point in a minute why I was thinking this. I was, I had my Newcastle top on.
Else.
I've had my Newcastle top on. I had a few beers, and I was pissing all over the seat. And I was thinking, I miss away days. And I was thinking about I wiped her after myself though. My lass has got to sit on that, on my daughter, or my son. But do you know what I mean? I just missed the having the beer, getting with the lads and that, But anyway.
Well,
true story.
Our last game was when we all went away to West Brom, wasn't it?
West Brom, yeah.
West Brom away.
That was class. That George was on the bus, wasn't he, George?
I can't wait till we can get back in the air. Taylor nearly wasn't I? Nearly left him in. Where was it?
Half of them nearly was.
West Bromwich.
We'll stop
the place that when that little kick.
Yeah, we'll stop at some. We went to. I don't know where it was, but it was a random little place.
Kings Lynn. It was something like it had like a weird name.
Mark would have got Kings Lynn before us and back.
There was hell on, wasn't it? Trying to get back on the bus.
Ashby de la Zouche or somewhere like that. It wasn't that, but it was something along those lines.
It was a nice little place, though, wasn't it? It was a nice little place.
But like Taylor went to Aldi for some cans.
Well, he'd went to McDonald's, even though we'd been to Wetherspoons and had some scran, hadn't we? And then he disappeared off the McDonald's after that, and then went to Aldi. We're driving off away down the road. So.
Honestly, Besty, when he got back on the bus, the grief some people were giving him at the front. My God!
Yeah, but what actually was that
because he was late because of film?
Both.
Oh, dear me.
Both. Who was it? So Thomas, you've just signed up to become a member. So the question's on you, mate. You've got a question.
Thomas, hit that Steve Bruce emoji. We need to hear about the bacon.
Right,
press the
carry
emoji.
on, lads. I'm going to go piss all over my seat.
Oh, my seat. Yeah.
But it'll be nice when we can finally get together and get back to the match, won't it? Like, obviously, there's talk about crowds going back and how that's going to work. Obviously, down in London and stuff like that, they're running ballots at the minute to be able to get supporters back into the grounds because of the low numbers that they can get in there. So I don't know.
Obviously, it'll be London first, probably. Near doubt.
Yeah. But they're 60, 70 quid a ticket they're charging.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it?
I'm not paying that. I couldn't give a fuck. I'm not paying that.
I'm not either. Like that.
No way.
I don't think.
It might be a couple of years, but all I mean is like meeting up at the Ashley pub, having a few beers, getting on the bus with our cans. That's the type of thing I'm thinking of. And that's what I'm honestly, I swear to you, when I was pissing on the seat there, and I was actually thinking of that. I was thinking, we're fucking minty now. Like if we were going away to the game, and And sometimes you're away for the banter and the old memories, and me and Bestie will be talking about shirts and shit like that, and you're not even really thinking about the game ahead.
Getting pissed.
You're not even thinking about the game ahead. You're just thinking about it's just that sort of togetherness and that like we're going to the match, few beers. You know what I mean? It's just good crack, isn't it?
We did. Last week game I went to that wasn't like because I've got Norwich most of it. But last week game I went to properly was I think Preston in the Championship.
We were there. It was brilliant.
October, we got the train down.
Absolutely
got the train
fantastic.
To Carlisle and then down to Preston, and it's that I love it. I love train cans at the best of times. Get me on a train, give us a couple of cans and like some pork scratchings and like a podcast. I'm happy lad. Like I'm all right with that.
Adam will be appearing in the comments about when we went to Preston.
I've seen it. Stalybridge.
Wasn't
Preston. So
no. I would talk about that. We've moved on from that, but when we went to the Preston game that Bestie's talking about, Adam always tells the story where I was that nice fella in the pub that because all the young lads, all the like 18, 19-year-olds that were on our bus, they wouldn't serve them at the bar, so they all scraped the 2 and 3 quids together and gave me the money, so I would go to the bar and get them all a pint.
Will you go to the bar for us, please?
Will you go for his bar, Mister? Aye, so.
Mister,
I've been there. I've know what it's like not being on a away day wanting to get served.
Bestie, I think you might have to start charging because a current member, Ben Hunter, has donated £2 to keep it going.
Another 10.
I've got 2% battery left. Yeah, hang on a second. I've got a...
Hey, Bestie, I've noticed last week you had that like red and black wheel thing, like with the. I've got the same one. I've just had to plug mine in.
I had to fetch it out the shed on a Friday night at half time when everything went tits up.
I've seen you got it is.
Does anybody know
extension out.
if you can get some device for an iPhone where you can charge and have the headphones at the same time? Because that would be an absolute godsend.
It's like that. You've got the lightning thing in the middle, and then it's got on the side. It's got 2 entries, so you can plug your charger in one side.
But is it this charger
your headphones in the other one?
The new iPhone for the headphones, not the daft little aux one.
Yeah, no, proper one.
Right, that's what we need.
Just
somebody send that link.
Thing like that. They're about.
That's what we need.
Pound shop sell them.
I think Mark's talking about a sex toy the way he's going on. Mark,
no, it's just like a little T-shaped thing like that. Plug that end into the port, and then you've got your charger in one side and your headphones in the other.
Did you answer the question about your favourite kit other than Newcastle?
Yeah, was it the one with the red and blue on the shirt?
98, yeah.
Thomas has sent a question in. So the reason why we're going the first 5 minutes. Best away day you've been on?
Oh, that's easy one for me.
Mark has
easy
the
one for me.
Mark, we'll let you have your story.
Feyenoord, 100%. 2002-2003 season, absolutely unbelievable. Just the whole thing going over on the ferry from Hull. And
I think Bestie's probably got the best one because he's done like a weekend.
I'm not sure that was an away day, was
it? Sorry, mate.
Well, a match, I suppose. Like so.
But definitely Feyenoord for me when we qualified Champions League.
What are you doing? You're going off the line. I'll tell you what. I'll flip around. I'll tell you the worst one.
Stoke, awful place.
I would never.
Was it when Shaqiri scored?
No, it was when a left back that we were supposed to sign.
Peters.
Yeah, Peters. He crossed it and went over Krull.
Yeah.
Would never.
I was there for the 3-0 where Bar scored a hat trick, I think, didn't he? God, tremendous that night.
Yeah.
And I actually think Stoke were really, really good. I mean, for what they were, long throw-ins and a hard team to beat. They never really lost at home, and then we rocked up and won 3-0. But it's funny because I've been to so many away games, Milan away and stuff like that. They're all good times, but it's hard to put on, isn't it? What one day is one?
Well, Pure had an absolute blast in the last European season. The one on the Pardew, we went to Bruges and stuff like that. Absolutely great.
It's Cribs with Stephen Best.
Oh God!
Take we're on a tour.
My name's Stephen Best, and this is my crib.
He's going to take me into here is me hat room where I keep me hats.
I went to a bar once and I saw the light on the ceiling and I thought I'd get that in my sitting room.
This is my favourite table.
Ooh, look at that. I feel like
it.
as if I'm having like a counselling session.
This is it. By the way, if people are listening, they're trying to take the piss out with Shola Amiobi, who was on Cribs, just in case they're thinking, what the fuck are you two on about?
Everybody's watched Shola on
I'd
Cribs.
be surprised.
Classic. If you haven't, get it on Google. Get on YouTube when this stream finishes and watch Shola on Cribs. That'll change your life.
And then watch Diego Maradona documentary on Sky. Watch it, please.
No.
Channel 4, it's free on Channel 4.
Yeah, Channel 4. Honestly, please, it's amazing. Bestie, you'll absolutely love it, you know.
Bessie just opened the can out of it.
I know I'm going to get a bottle. Wait for us.
Well, yeah, we're going nowhere now.
Right, so yeah, we've probably got another few minutes, unless there's another member. Bessie's just opened the can. Deka's off to get another bottle.
It's like children in need or something. This, isn't it? Every time somebody donates, you've got to stay on camera.
We'll keep on going. We'll keep on going.
It's like telephone.
So we need one more member. Right, I tell you what, we won't go past 11:30. We'll stop at 11:30 no matter what. Okay, gives us 15 minutes.
11:30 no matter what.
Yeah, 11:30 no matter what.
So if we get one more subscriber before 11:30, we'll go to 12:45.
No, 11:30 cut off no matter what.
I need me tea actually. Do you know what it is? I only just got in from work and then I logged in here.
I want to know if there's anybody that's still on now that's actually been on the whole 2 hours and 15 minutes or whatever it is that we.
Daryl's been on.
Daryl's on.
Ben
and Julie.
Julie Baker's always here, like. And Julie.
And Marty's still there as well.
Lads, we're going to 11:30.
Oh, RL90.
Thank you, RL90.
I thought that was the real R9. I thought it was the real R9 there for a second.
So we're going to half-assed. We're going to half-assed.
As Daryl's just said, we've got a new member, you know.
So we're what do you call it? We're 60-minute stream. It's gone on for 2.5 hours by the time we're finished.
It doesn't feel that long, though, does it? It doesn't feel that long.
Do you know what it is? And I've been meaning to mention this for quite a little while now. So since lockdown, we've been non-stop with the things that we're doing. Obviously, we've had to adjust to doing Zoom and things like this. And obviously, Adam rang in sick tonight, so we've had to figure out how to do this while he's away. Normally, Adam grafts his arse off behind the scene, but I think
too busy playing Fortnite and FIFA.
We didn't need him now, Chris. We didn't need him now. He's
bin him off. Unless he signs up to be a member. But I was going to say, like, some of the comments, and we'll get private messages, not just from Gallagher Shots or the podcast, but individually we'll get messages of people thanking us for some of the stuff that we're putting out, just to obviously keep things ticking over for them. There's a lot of people working from home, not really seeing anybody and stuff like that. So this is why we do it. Those sort of comments, that this is why we do it, and we love doing it. For us, it's a catch up with our mates. That's what it is, and to have your interaction is fantastic. Great to have you on board, and I normally see these three lads and Adam every Monday night, and we haven't done that we've done one in the last 6 months, I would say. When the pubs reopened again, we've done one, but Mark, I used to see Mark every other Saturday for the home games, and it kills you, doesn't it? It kills you not having that interaction with your mates. But this is the next best thing for ourselves, and like I said, to have everybody else jump on and leave comments, it's great, absolutely great, and we can't thank you enough for that.
Yep, absolutely. It's funny, my group of mates I've got, I never talk to them like this. I see yous more than like, you know, me other mates. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just funny. Every Monday I look forward to, like, every time when you say, or like, we want to do a Q&A tomorrow, absolutely, because I just love having a beer and just, you know, cracking on with these about football and stuff, and it's all just so relaxing. It's just a subject I love talking about, especially when Bessie goes on about shirts and shit like that. It's fantastic for me. Like,
well, like we said, like, obviously the Battle of the Kids stuff, which we've been doing, we've only done 2 episodes, and the episodes have gone for around about 4.5 hours in total so far. And it's talking about Newcastle shirts.
You get your money's worth, guys. If you subscribe, you get your money's worth. What can I say?
There's more to come. Obviously, we've got ideas looking back over previous seasons and stuff like that. We can't talk forever about those as well. It's not just things that are happening right now and right here. We've got loads of ideas, absolutely loads of ideas, and this is something which we can do for the members for early access. This is one of the reasons why we've took the step to the next thing, because a lot of us got more time on our hands at the minute, not traveling to and from work. So yeah, That's what I've got to say on it. And
Katie, me and Mark definitely don't have that problem.
I'm just saying, so Katie says, do you lot struggle to end calls with each other as well?
On Friday we did.
I remember when we were both in the airport, Deka, and I rang you, saying, and you were like, "Who's this? Who's this?" And I was like, "It's me." He was, "Oh, who's me?" Pretending that you didn't even know us when we were together in the airport.
I remember that. Yeah. What? Oh, that's right. Because you were going on holiday, weren't you? Was that with Lisa?
I hope he was if he was in the airport.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Just hanging. Well, you know, there's not many places you can get a pint at the minute other than the airport. So I thought I'd book like a cheap flight to Dublin or something for like 99 pence and just get to the pub in the airport for a bit.
I remember that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But no, it's a good point about doing the different videos and like different ideas and stuff like that, Kris. And like I said on Friday, for anybody that joined on Friday, that if anybody's got any ideas of what they'd like to see we do, then let me know. Drop her a message or send with tweets, send it into the podcast, etc. Let us know, because albeit we do it just because we enjoy doing it and it's a laughing and it's an escape for us. We want to kind of keep you guys that watch us and put up with us happy and give you what you want to see. So, all the good ideas don't just have to come from us. There's plenty of good ideas that others have. So let us know anything that you want to see we do.
It's to do all this, lads. I'm not sure about you, but I love doing this live stream because you don't know what's coming up. You don't know what's around the corner, and obviously the stuff that we do when it's not live on YouTube, we can. Well, I'm saying prepare. It's very rare that we're prepared for it. But it's. I know we can go off and just start talking all that shit, but this is the best thing for the likes of the live stuff. It's like I said, we've had questions from food to music to football to stuff outside Newcastle as well, and it's just a chance to have a chat with your mates.
And the people that are commenting and that are sending in the messages and join us every week become part of that. They're part of our Gallagher Shots family, kind of been involved in it, and we've been lucky enough to meet quite a few people that do follow us, and like we mentioned, come out and have nights out with and stuff like that, and more the merrier. So like I said before, if anybody, when we actually get the ability to go out in public and meet with each other, then I think we should just have a massive Gallagher Shots party in the pub and get everybody around. It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
I'm happy, mate. I'm happy for when all of this ends to host a night, a talking, just basically a talking where we can jump on, we can get like local journalists that we know, presenters that we know, they can jump on as well and just go for like hour and a half, 2 hours. Then afterwards, just have a pint with everybody. I love it. Absolutely great.
It was something we talked about as well, wasn't it? It was something we had talked about. I mean, this is before COVID was even a thing, but we had spoke about like coming out, like do a Q&A, but get people there, do you know what I mean? Meet them and have a pint with them and stuff. And then, unfortunately, COVID come around. But
no, it'd be great, mate. It'd be great. So Ben Hunter says, basic question, may saying, in an ideal world, would this be the main income, or do you prefer it as a hobby? Mate, I would absolutely snap your hand off if this brought in enough money or anywhere near enough money to live off. It doesn't. Nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. You'd be lucky if you could buy your dinner on a day with the stuff that you get from YouTube.
I think
YouTube take a big cut.
To do with this, doesn't it? Costs to do with this, and when we're looking at it in the grand scheme of things, of how long me and you have been to it, and then obviously Deka came on a little bit on board with it and stuff like that.
You're looking at hosting fees. You're looking at £15 a month just for hosting fees, and that's for the audio, which we don't really put out anymore, because of everything which we're doing now. Then obviously everything on top of that, upgrading things like the lights, because without that light, I'll show everybody now, because I think everybody's got one. Mark, apart from you, I don't think you've got one.
I've got a big light above us.
But look, like, just doesn't look as good, does it?
I don't know. It looks a bit better. Can I see your faces clearly?
It's stuff.
You had to buy the step ladder. You had to buy a step ladder to put your laptop on.
This is it. These are the expenses that people don't think about. Step ladders.
Yeah, I would love to have it as a main income, and I would love to bring everybody else in as a main income, because there is channels that have done it. But the channels that have done it, they've got the likes of European football and things like that to look at as well. We don't have that. I'm not sure how well 10 videos a week will go down just slagging Mike Ashley off and Steve Bruce off, because it'll get a bit repetitive if you had the likes of European football. then of course it will be much better. But we don't. So
It would be great if we're actually a decent football club and had a bit of success, wouldn't it?
mm,
And then it might get more popular, and more people might want to watch with talk shit about Newcastle.
yeah.
But we don't do it to become rich or famous or anything like that. It's we do it because it's just a bloody good laugh, isn't it?
Listen, when Kris asked me, whenever it was, did I want to join or be part of it? Never was anything about money ever anything. It never will be. It never ever will be something for me. I'm not interested in that. I do it because I'm able to sort of talk about what I love, and it's Newcastle United. I mean, I love the club, and I always will.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And obviously, Besty's been doing this for a lot longer than all of us. The reason that I came up with the idea of the podcast and stuff was because Taylor and Besty's podcast all those years ago. And then obviously their podcast was coming to end. And I thought, massive gap in the market because that podcast which were around, although quite serious and quite scripted and things like that. And Taylor and Besty's was basically two mates talking about the match and just having a laugh. And theirs was ending us, so I thought, why not? And start with me and Mark. Then obviously we'll progress from there. And we've got 10 people now on the YouTube channel, which is phenomenal.
Mad, isn't it? So I imagine how much money we would have to make to pay 10 people. Christ.
Yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
But Julie Baker said, but you do have a time machine. We don't. We've got an extra time.
We've got extra time.
Extra time.
Hey, that was brilliant. Like, wasn't it? It was funny,
Yeah.
I didn't
So
realise,
Katie
honestly, it
sent
was
another one in,
after we
basically
finished
saying-
Matty Gans.
Oh, sorry, mate. Carry on. Oh, carry on, Bessie. Sorry.
Oh, no, I think I've got a delay since I moved.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bestie. I
definitely
think
got a delay since I moved.
you're on a delay since you moved, Bestie.
You're in that time machine, mate.
Bestie,
you
what was your favourite strip other than Newcastle?
Bessie, remember that goal that Shola set up for
The one that Portsmouth wore when Shearer.
Oh, dear me.
Right, so Katie sent in, you should do more lives. Should do lives more often. Just got to watch out for wind-up merchants.
Is this our friend Katie, or is it just a random Katie?
It's Katie, I think.
Our friend
It's
Katie,
100% Katie because you mentioned Dave Bauer's big toe. It's 100% Katie.
Did you? All right.
Yeah, 100%.
Hello,
Katie.
Katie. Katie's been out on the pop with us quite often.
No, not that Katie. You're thinking of a different Katie?
Oh, different Katie.
Are you thinking about the Katie I work with?
Yes.
No, that's not that Katie.
What's
That's Katie from Ladies' Night Katie.
Oh, that's that Katie.
I
Oh,
think
right.
so, yeah. I think so.
Oh, that Katie can definitely come for a pint out with him.
Right, so we've got 3 minutes. Then
In fact, we should go and see Katie for a pint
Blackpool.
in Blackpool. That'd be great.
Oh, I've just been recently as well. I shouldn't have went actually, but I went anyway. It was like I remember when I went with the kids and that, and we went to Blackpool. I've never seen rain like it, and I'm not even kidding when I say that. It was just unbelievable how bad the weather was.
Was that when there was that incident with the donkey?
I don't know. Did I say something like that?
I don't know. Wow.
I don't think so. No.
Right,
I should have never went like because
yeah,
it was
mate.
tier 3 and it was hell on. No, I tell you, they don't know anything about social distancing either.
What, the donkeys?
Yeah, definitely not the donkeys.
Right, so we'll end up in a couple more. Ben Hunter, so how did you and Mark meet? So me and Mark
Me and
met.
Kris.
So my sister used to work with Mark.
Yeah.
And that's how me and Mark met.
Me
many
and
years
me
ago
and
was that,
Anne Marie
mate?
are good friends. Well, I've known Anne Marie for 10, 15 years, something like that. No, it'd be more than that. Oh, yeah, it'd be about 15 years or something like that, I would have thought.
Mm.
If not longer. And then, no, you actually, I've probably known you about 10 years, if not more than that. So good. I'm forgetting, I'd say it's 2020 these days, isn't it? So
Yeah. So the story behind Deka as well. So obviously I've known Deka for years. We've crossed paths quite a lot. Obviously both living in South Shields and being in pubs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Deka started talking again when we're in Aldi. If you remember right, Deka.
I met Deka at your stag do as well, at home.
You did.
Your
You
home
did, aye.
stag do.
So Deka was in Aldi and he was on his way out of Aldi and I had me and Adam and I can't remember who else. Can't remember. So me and Adam were driving down to Norwich for the away game, and I basically shouted, "Deka, do you fancy going to Norwich next week?" Aye.
Aye.
And
Yeah, I remember
that's how
that.
it started
In
off.
Aldi, wasn't it, as well?
It was in Aldi.
In Aldi,
Aye.
you want to come to Norwich away? Aye, absolutely. Aye.
That's how it started off.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy.
And
Speaking of Aldi,
Uh-huh.
I've just remembered I've seen this advertised today. I'm sure it's Aldi. If it's not Aldi, it's Lidl. But they've started doing a pigs in blanket pizza.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Oh yes!
Oh wow!
Oh yes!
The best.
Pigs in blanket
Right.
pizza. It's either Aldi or Lidl, one of the two.
I'm going to buy that tomorrow. So thanks for that. That's where I'm going to go on tomorrow.
But where is it? Is it Aldi or Lidl?
It's one of them. One of them.
Ah,
They're practically the same, aren't they? I can't
It's
remember
one of
which
them.
advert I've seen. Definitely Aldi or Lidl. Somebody Google it
that
and
sounds
find
amazing.
out. Or if you've seen the advert as well, tell us.
It's
Right,
1:30, mate.
pigs in blankets pizza.
Yeah,
That's definitely one to try.
It's 1:30, lads. So as always, thanks for joining us. We've been going for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours.
Mental.
Yeah, it's went nowhere,
Katie,
that
we do much more many
We do
lives.
We do
However,
do what? What do we do?
You're generally too busy talking to other people and doing the same at the same time because it's normally a Monday night when we do it, and you're otherwise engaged.
We do.
Yeah.
We do though, don't we? Do.
We do run.
Bestie looks very confused by all of this, doesn't he? I think it's that Saturday delay.
Because he's on delay.
Yeah, he's still stuck, Bestie. Still stuck.
He's still thinking about that goal against Portsmouth by
I remember
Alba.
Germany shirt from 1990.
Right, lads, we'll call it a night. Thanks
Yeah.
very much for joining us. Thanks everybody that's tuned in, and thanks
Yeah.
to everybody who's signed
Thank you
up
to
as a
all of
member.
the new members that have signed up as well. Yeah, brilliant. You've
Means
kept
So
us
yeah,
going.
if you haven't already signed up as a member, make sure you do so. If you do, click on our dashboard when you first got the Gallagher's Shots YouTube page. There's a join button in the top, so click on that. It's as little as $2.99 a month, and it helps us continue to do things like this and future things. Send your ideas across. Any ideas, we're happy to take them on board and have a chat about them. It's not just ourselves in the forward. There's a lot more people behind the scenes as well. So I'm pretty sure we could make something happen. Any suggestions are appreciated. And yeah, we'll call it a night.
Pleasure
All
as
the best,
always,
lads.
boys.
Take care, guys.
Good to see you. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Good night.
Later.